Chapter 500. When Skycliff felt himself being pushed into the tunnel, it was already too late. The tunnel closed before he could react. Before it closed, he only had time to see Feng Wu's small mouth slightly open as she said something. "Ming," she said, "to let you go." The expressionless girl said. Skycliff desperately resisted the urge to roast her. "Did you forget that, Ming? She also said to let you go?" The Feng Wu girl really did forget. She selectively chose to forget what she didn't want to hear. Only when the tunnel completely closed did Ming she realize that Feng Wu didn't leave. His heart was shocked. His heart was filled with joy and anger. He clearly told her to leave. Did she know what she had to face if she stayed? Seeing Feng Wu's persistent eyes, his heart softened and he couldn't even get angry. "Ming Shi, don't be afraid. I'll stay with you." Feng Wu seriously looked at Ming Shi as she spoke. "Why are you willing to stay with him?" The little lowly suddenly stopped and her eyes were filled with envy and curiosity. Why was this human willing to stay with this golden-haired man? Was it because he was handsome? Even if the little lowly was a spirit, she still knew how handsome Ming Shi was. At least, whether it was before or after death, she had never seen a man more handsome than Ming Shi. "He is my son's father. Of course I want to stay with him." Feng Wu looked at the little lowly and seriously said. Feng Wu had already decided that Ming Shi was Ming Shi's father. In Feng Wu's heart, they were husband and wife. Her master said that husband and wife should never leave each other, so of course she couldn't leave Ming Shi. Moreover, Feng Wu's heart didn't want to leave him at this time. "Is it like this?" The little lowly tilted her head in confusion. Feng Wu nodded. "Then are you willing to stay with me?" The little lowly's eyes were filled with expectation. "No." Feng Wu shook her head honestly. Xiao Yi was still with the vice president. She couldn't abandon her little bun. "If you don't want to, then you can stay in the painting and accompany me forever." The little lowly's face darkened and her voice suddenly became cold. She no longer had her previous loveliness and cuteness. Without a word, the little lowly began to attack the two of them crazily again. Moreover, these attacks were all directed at Feng Wu. It seemed that Feng Wu's rejection had angered the little lowly. Ming Shi helped Feng Wu block most of the attacks. Although Feng Wu couldn't beat the little lowly, she was agile enough to dodge. The middle-aged man, who had long been forgotten, stood at the side anxiously. However, he knew that no matter what he said, no one would listen to him. Ming Shi's forehead was covered in sweat as he struggled to block the opponent's attack. He wasn't a proper necromancer, and it wasn't easy for him to fight against a spirit with deep resentment. Most of the time, his attacks could only be used to block and couldn't be effective on the opponent. The little lowly sneered and her attacks became faster. At this time, she took advantage of a gap and slapped Feng Wu. Ming Shi was scared out of his wits when he saw this. He knew the consequences of being hit by this palm. Thinking that the girl in front of him would become an ice sculpture and her soul would be sealed in the painting, his heart ached unbearably. Just when Ming Shi thought that a tragedy was about to happen, an inconceivable scene occurred. The little lowly suddenly let out an ear-piercing scream. That voice sounded incomparably painful, and there was also a deep fear in it. With a whoosh, the little lowly suddenly turned into a stream of light and disappeared from the living room. It seemed that she had discovered a terrible existence and quickly escaped. Ming Shi's face was filled with the word, dumbfounded. Why was it like this? Xiaochun woke up? Of course, Xiaochun couldn't have woken up so quickly. The one who attacked was Pure Flame. As Pure Sword's good friend, Pure Flame naturally knew how much Pure Sword liked Feng Wu as its master. So when it sensed that Feng Wu's life was in danger, it immediately attacked without hesitation. The moment the little lowly's attack hit Feng Wu, Pure Flame appeared and burned the little lowly. The little lowly had killed so many people that the sins on her body were too deep. When Pure Flame appeared, the little lowly immediately felt as if she was being burned by the flames of hell. It would be strange if she didn't scream after being burned like this. Feng Wu really thought that she was going to die at that moment. That feeling of approaching death made her whole body turn cold. It wasn't the first time that Fengwu had encountered a situation like this, but it was never this scary. It made her heart stop. Little Flame, thank you. Fengwu knew who saved her and sincerely thanked Pure Flame. Pure Flame, who had turned into a palm-sized person, nodded proudly and flew back into Pure Sword's body in the next second. Pure Flame was different from Pure Sword. It didn't recognize Fengwu as its master. It only stayed by Fengwu's side because it was good friends with Pure Sword. When Fengwu was in danger, it would help, but it was impossible for Fengwu to command it. Xiao Wu. Ming-Shi was so scared that his heart almost stopped. When he came back to his senses, he realized that his back was drenched in sweat. He took a big step forward and pulled Fengwu into his arms. Feeling the warmth of Fengwu's body, he felt his heartbeat slowly return to normal. Ming-Shi, it hurts. Fengwu pushed Ming-Shi in discomfort. Why is he hugging me so tightly that I can't breathe? Fengwu thought confusedly, but her little face was expressionless. She still looked so paralyzed. Sorry, I hurt you. Ming-Shi coughed lightly and slowly let go of Fengwu. In that instant, he really didn't want to experience the feeling of his heart stopping a second time. The surroundings were still cold. Ming-Shi pulled Fengwu to sit at the side. The little loli had already escaped, but they didn't know when she would come back. As long as she was here, they couldn't relax. Come here for a moment. I want to ask you a question. Ming-Shi looked at the spiritual body that had been cowering in the corner. This spiritual body was the spiritual body of the middle-aged man who was injured by the little loli. What do you want to ask? He wasn't like the little loli who had extraordinary talent. In just a little over 1,000 years, he had cultivated to such a level. One had to know that the cultivation of a spiritual body was much harder than that of a human. Because he was bullied by the little loli all year round, his strength couldn't improve. He was already a spiritual body that had lived for more than 1,000 years, but he was still so weak. That child, where's her father? Why haven't I seen them? This was something that Ming-Shi didn't understand. Even the craftsman who made the dolls was still here, so why weren't the child's parents here? They were eaten by those children. Back then, he released the children's spiritual bodies so that they could take revenge with their own hands. He knew that he would be killed, so he was already prepared to die. However, he didn't expect that the children's spiritual bodies that were made into dolls would be so cruel. Not only did they want to kill him, they also wanted to eat his soul. Later, the little loli wanted to keep him alive to play with, so she kept him alive, allowing his soul to survive until now. Chapter 501. When he first released those spirits, he had already expected that those children would take revenge on him. He could also imagine that whether it was him, the young mistress' parents, or everyone else in the castle, they would all be killed by those spirits. None of them would be able to survive. However, he did not expect the hatred in the children's hearts to be so deep that they even wanted to tear their spirits apart and eat them. Speaking of which, he was the only spirit body that was still alive among all the participants after that incident. Then why are you fine? Fengwu asked curiously as she nestled in Ming-Shi's arms. The man smiled bitterly. Missy hates me. She wants me to stay and slowly be tortured by her. He deserved all of this. He could not blame anyone. He did not hate Missy. Let me ask you again. Was the first woman to die here killed by an evil spirit sent by your Missy? Back then, Regina's appearance when she died had always made him feel strange. After that, many things had happened and many people had died. However, those people had all died in the same way. They had all been killed by the extreme Een aura. Only Regina, who was the first to die, looked different from the others. He suspected that there was something fishy about this. The ones who killed Regina were probably not the undead. The undead did not need the blood of the living. There were only two things that needed the blood of the living. One was the blood race, and the other was the Shura race. The blood race feared sunlight, and the Shura race feared the aura of the human world. Although the possibility of these two races appearing in the desert was not high, it was not impossible. Whether it was as he guessed, only this spirit that had lived here for thousands of years could answer him. That girl, she really wasn't ordered to be killed by Eldest Mississippi. Eldest Miss hates us men the most because the children we caught were all little girls, and the ones who killed them were all men. Therefore, those children hated men the most. In their hearts, men are not good people, they are bad people who will kill them. That's right. That's why every time someone breaks into this place, First Miss would let the others kill the men first before killing the women. If that girl called Shenny hadn't taken the doll that First Miss had left behind, First Miss wouldn't have killed her so early. Who killed Regina? Is he one of us? Ming Shi asked. I don't know who she is. None of you have ever called her by her name, but she's easy to recognize. She's been wearing a cloak the whole day and has never shown her face. By the way, beside that woman, there was always a man who massaged like her. The middle-aged man thought for a moment before replying. When Regina died, he had seen it. However, since these humans wanted to kill each other, it had nothing to do with spirit bodies. Naturally, he had not thought of stopping them. Furthermore, he had been in the painting for a long time. If he had not been responsible for these outsiders coming here and preventing the young lady from having the time to care about him, he would not have been able to come out of the painting so easily. Ming Shi's eyes darkened. It was actually the woman beside Boss Hart. Among all of them, only the man and woman beside Boss Hart were dressed like this. Is there anything about that woman that makes you feel strange? Ming Shi asked again. Something strange? The man thought for a moment. There is something strange. That woman can suck blood. After she killed that woman called Regina, she sucked all of her blood. It doesn't seem like something you humans would do. It's more like the legendary blood race. Although the Shura race also liked blood, they preferred to smear blood all over their bodies instead of sucking blood directly. As expected, Ming Shi recalled that there were many blood race hiding in the continent recently. The blood race seemed to be on the verge of making a big move. The biggest possibility was that they wanted to break the barrier outside Blood Moon Forest. The blood race wanted to unify the continent. They wanted to make all humans their food for more than just a day or two. This time, the blood race that had infiltrated the continent had all escaped when the barrier cracked. It was likely that those fellows who had escaped were already restless. After asking all the questions he wanted to ask, Ming Shi dismissed the spirit body. Only Ming Shi and Feng Wu were left in the hall. Ming Shi let Feng Wu lean into his embrace. Feng Wu was a little sleepy as she blinked her eyes. Ming Shi's embrace was so warm that it made her want to sleep. Sleep, I'll guard you. Ming Shi stroked Feng Wu's little head and said gently. No matter why Feng Wu was willing to stay, he was still touched. At this moment, hugging her, he felt his heart soften. Feng Wu shook her little head. I'm not sleeping. Wait for Bao Bao. Bao Bao went to the spirit realm to look for Little Seven. Once Little Seven is here, we can leave. Feng Wu stared seriously at Ming Shi's brows. Bao Bao went to look for Little Seven? Ming Shi realized that Bao Bao was not with Feng Wu. Feng Wu nodded, indicating that it was indeed so. Looks like our luck is not bad. Ming Shi smiled. Even if Little Seven did not come in the end, he could still protect Bu Wu. It was just that he had to pay a big price. As the crown prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom, he naturally had means to protect himself. However, Xiao Wu was not of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom's bloodline. It was impossible for him to protect her without paying a price. No matter the price, as long as he could save her, he was willing to pay. Now that they had Bao Bao's help, the chances of them leaving this place together were much higher. While Ming Shi and Feng Wu were waiting for Little Seven and Bao Bao, Mo Geoffrey and the others had already contacted the school. Mo Geoffrey had already guessed that Ming Shi's identity was not ordinary. Of course, the first thing he did was to contact the school. The school had already sent a necromancer to deal with it. After the arrival of Notre Dame du Starlight's teacher, it was afraid that this place would no longer exist in this world. Irene and Shouzo were also very worried about Feng Wu's safety. Shouzo was especially worried. Feng Wu had saved his life. He wanted to save Feng Wu, but there was nothing he could do. He could only worry in his heart. He knew that among the people who came to the desert wasteland, there were people from Star Hall. If they were willing to help, would Xiao Wu still have a chance? As for the future Lord Moon King, he was not worried. Lord Moon King was the chosen one with the bloodline of God. He was protected by the world's consciousness. It was impossible to kill Lord Moon King. The world's consciousness would protect the future Moon King, but it would not protect Fengwu. Fengwu was the most dangerous. Irene felt that it was a pity. A girl like Fengwu who was willing to live and die with the person she loved, in modern society, could only be found in novels. Chapter 502. Irene felt that it was a pity. A girl like Fengwu, who was willing to live and die with the person she loved, could only be found in novels in modern society. It would be a pity for such a pure girl to die. Erin's heart was filled with regret. The others surrounded Zicheng and thanked her for saving their lives. Zicheng repeatedly told them that they didn't need to be so polite. Those people left their keepsakes to Zicheng before leaving. Zicheng's harvest this time was very good. She gained the favor of most people here. Why most people? People like Skycliff, Irene, Shozo, and the others didn't take her kindness to heart, especially Skycliff. After being pushed out by Fengwu, his face didn't look good. When he was very young, he was chosen to be Ming Shi's personal bodyguard. Then, he was sent to the palace of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. He grew up with Ming Shi since he was young. He knew that he was used to protect the future emperor of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. But now, he didn't do his job well. Leaving the person he was supposed to protect behind made Skycliff's face look good, although it wasn't his intention to leave. While Skycliff and the others were worried about Ming Shi's safety, Fengwu and Ming Shi had been waiting for a long time. Bao Bao and Little Seven finally arrived. Bao Bao brought Little Seven to the isolated world. Little Seven's innate flame immediately sprayed towards the enchantment that protected the land of extreme Een. The heavy rain outside stopped because of the fire. A ray of sunlight shone in from outside. The place where the sunlight shone in was obviously the exit that Little Seven had burned. Ming Shi held Fengwu's hand. The two immediately leaped up, wanting to leave through the hole. But at that moment, something strange happened. The little lowly, who hadn't shown up before, suddenly appeared beside Ming Shi. Her small hand swatted towards Ming Shi. Little evil spirit wanted to take revenge for being burned by pure flame. She couldn't hurt Fengwu, but how could she not hurt this man? Don't think that I'll let you off so easily after hurting her. The little evil spirit's eyes were filled with hatred. That seemingly soft and weak little hand was already right in front of his eyes. By the time Ming Shi discovered it, it was already too late for him to dodge. He only had enough time to cast a light spell at the little evil spirit. The little evil spirit smiled coldly and allowed the attack to land on its body. At this moment, the little lowly evil spirit's small hand had already slapped Ming Shi's arm. It was just a light pat, but Ming Shi's arm was immediately covered in a thick layer of frost. Unexpectedly, Ming Shi's entire body was frozen. Only his arm was frozen. At this moment, Fengwu grabbed Ming Shi's other hand and pulled him into the hole in the barrier. The little lowly could only watch unwillingly as Ming Shi and Fengwu disappeared into the other side of the barrier. She let out an angry roar. That human! How could he not die under the extreme Yin Qi? That was impossible. No matter how much the little lowly didn't believe, Ming Shi and Fengwu still managed to escape. When the sunlight shone on Fengwu and Ming Shi's body, this kind of warmth was something that they hadn't felt in a long time. Student Ming Shi! A cry of surprise was heard the moment the two of them landed on the ground. About 2 seconds later, an old man with white hair and beard holding a magic staff ran to Ming Shi's side at a speed that didn't match his age. Ming Shi, Fengwu. Not long after the old man ran over, Mogfiel and the others also surrounded them. There was no one else around them. In order to wait for the teacher sent by the school, Mogfiel and the others naturally couldn't just leave. They had to stay here and wait for the teacher to arrive. Besides, in order to save them, Ming Shi willingly stayed behind to block the evil spirit. After receiving such a big favor, how could they just leave? They had already waited here for a whole day. It turned out that the flow of time inside the barrier was different from outside. They felt that not much time had passed inside, but a whole day had passed outside. This time, the teacher was worried about Ming Shi and Feng Wu's safety. He used a teleportation magic and arrived here within an hour. Although the necromancer came, he couldn't enter the barrier and couldn't save them. Fortunately, they came out on their own. Otherwise, when the teacher opened the barrier, no one knew whether Feng Wu and Ming Shi would still be alive. Ming Shi's hand. Zicheng saw Ming Shi's hand turned into a popsicle and covered her mouth in shock. This is extreme Yin Qi. The necromancer sent by the school also had a change in expression. The extreme Yin Qi killed people invisibly. If Ming Shi didn't have the god's blood to protect his body, he was afraid that at this moment, he would have already died. GG. Little Seven worriedly flew to Ming Shi's side and spat out a mouthful of God's fire from her mouth, melting the ice on Ming Shi's hand. Look. The ice melted, the ice melted. Irene happily shouted. The old mage hurriedly went forward to check on Ming Shi's injuries. His face still didn't look too good. Teacher, what's wrong with my arm? Ming Shi felt that even though the ice melted, he still couldn't feel his limbs. Even if the teacher didn't say anything, he guessed that his hand was in some trouble. Maybe if he was unlucky, his hand would be crippled. Many of the nerves in your arm have died. I have to bring you back to school immediately. If we delay any longer, I'm afraid that you won't be able to keep your hand. The old magician said seriously. Then what are we waiting for? Teacher, quickly bring him back. Tang Nuod immediately said. No matter what, Ming Shi was his savior. Of course, he didn't want his savior to become a cripple. I'll go too. Feng Wu held Ming Shi's uninjured hand and stubbornly said. No, you have to obediently stay here and complete the mission. This mission is very important. We can't fail. I probably need to go home for a while. Although my injuries are serious, my family will find a way. So don't worry about me. Wait for me to come back. Ming Shi pulled his hand away and patted Feng Wu's little head. He was well aware of his own injuries. It seemed that he had to make a trip back to the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. But Xiao Wu, this mission was very dangerous. There were also vampires with unknown intentions. He was worried that there would be more unknown dangers on the road. Feng Wu looked at Ming Shi expressionlessly. After a while, she nodded. I'll wait for you to come back. Feng Wu said. Okay. Ming Shi's eyes revealed an indescribable gentleness. The old magician looked at the ambiguous scene between the two and sighed in his heart. He was getting old. Even the next Moon Emperor had a sweetheart. Ming Shi left. Before he left, he said that he would contact Feng Wu and let her know if his fever was getting better. Feng Wu stayed with the team and continued the mission with the others. After they left, two white-haired old men came to this place. The little lowly, who stayed in the land of extreme negative energy, suddenly felt her heart palpitate. Ming Shi left. Feng Wu missed him. Ming Shi said that he didn't know what love was. Ming Shi said that he liked a lot. She liked Ming Shi. If she didn't like him, she wouldn't have let him be Xiao Ye's father. Chapter 503. But Ming Shi said that it wasn't love, so what was love? She still didn't understand. Xiao Wu, are you worried about Ming Shi Sr.? Irene leaned over and whispered to Feng Wu. I miss him. Feng Wu nodded and said seriously. Don't you know how to be shy? Irene was a little speechless. When the mission is completed, we can go back to school, and you will be able to see him then. Although she didn't know how long Ming Shi would have to recuperate from his fever, this was a magical world. As long as there was a way to treat any injury, it wouldn't be difficult to get better. Really? Feng Wu's eyes lit up. I'm not very sure, but I guess it's like this. Irene didn't dare to say anything, so she could only stammer. 10 days later, they came to the place marked on the map. Originally, they didn't accidentally enter the land of extreme negative energy, so they could take out the heart of wood before others found out. But now it seemed impossible. Why was this so? It was because in the heart of wood-sealed land, a small oasis had appeared in the barren desert wasteland. Although there were only a few ordinary plants growing wildly in this small area, there was still a small oasis. But this kind of strange phenomenon couldn't be hidden from people who were interested. Once someone saw it, unless they were a fool, they would be able to guess that there was something wrong with this place. At this time, there were already many people around this place, waiting for the treasure to be unearthed. The heart of wood was about to break out of the seal in a few days, and there were so many people around here. It was impossible for them to take the heart of wood without leaving a trace. What should we do now? Huajhua saw a large group of people around here and didn't know what to do for a while, so he had to ask Captain Moghead. Wait. It was obviously impossible to open the seal and take away the heart of wood in front of so many people. If they wanted to take away the heart of wood, it seemed that they had to spend a lot of effort to get the heart of wood. Everyone could only stand outside the oasis and wait for the heart of wood to break out of its seal. Then, they would be able to obtain the heart of wood. This wait lasted for 5 days. 5 days later, the aura of wood element magic in the air shook violently, and the light of wood element magic appeared within a radius of 10,000 miles. Many plants broke out of the ground, and the barren desert suddenly grew many wild flowers and plants. Although these flowers and plants were not expensive, they were a rare sight in the desert wasteland where no plants grew. Just as flowers and trees were growing everywhere, a green water droplet-shaped creature suddenly flew out from the ground. This little thing flew in a certain direction as soon as it appeared. The treasure has appeared, it wants to run, quickly stop it. Someone hurriedly shouted. Spells flew in the sky. Many people even used flight scrolls in an attempt to grab the heart of wood from the sky. Among so many people, very few people knew that this treasure was the legendary treasure that wood-type magicians yearned for the most, the heart of wood. In the sky and on the ground, people constantly joined in to try to catch the heart of wood. They might not know what kind of treasure it was, but they didn't need to know immediately. This treasure had to be in their hands first. As for what kind of treasure it was, they could slowly study it later. Go! More Jeffrey gave the order, and everyone in the team chased after the heart of wood. When Zicheng saw the heart of wood for the first time, she had a feeling that it should be hers. It was something that belonged to her, just like the heart of water. It belonged to her. This feeling came out of nowhere, but she deeply believed in this feeling. Irene noticed that Zicheng was secretly forcing out blood essence. She wanted to secretly form a contract with the heart of wood. It was no wonder that in the novel, Zicheng would so coincidentally gain the favor of the heart of wood and take the initiative to form a contract with her. It was not the heart of wood that took the initiative, but Zicheng. In the original novel, there was not much description of Zicheng forming a contract with the heart of wood. She only now understood the method that Zicheng had used. She snorted disdainfully and quietly followed behind Zicheng. On the surface, she was helping Zicheng, but secretly, she stopped Zicheng from forming a contract with the heart of wood several times. Zicheng was secretly annoyed, but there was no way he could vent it on Irene. If she scolded him, wouldn't it be a confession? At this time, Caesar and the others were also busy collecting the heart of wood. With the heart of wood, there would be at least one more wood element warlock saint in the family. One more warlock saint was an absolute temptation to any family. The strength of a clan was directly related to the number of experts in that clan. Whichever clan had more experts, that clan would have more authority to speak. Shozo could allow anyone else to obtain the heart of wood, but not Zicheng. He could not let this world be destroyed in Zicheng's hands. Irene was by Zicheng's side from time to time, and whenever Caesar made a move, he would also secretly hinder him. Caesar did not realize that his own younger brother was guarding against him. At this moment, he was still protecting Zicheng and snatching the heart of wood. Ever since they left the land of extreme negative energy, Caesar obviously treated Zicheng differently. Shozo suspected that his brother's favorability towards Zicheng had reached 100%. Once it reached 100%, unless Zicheng died or the world was destroyed, it would be impossible to get rid of Zicheng's control. He could not take the risk. If Caesar's favorability towards Zicheng really reached 100%, then there would not be much difference between Caesar and Zicheng. This was because as long as Zicheng gave a hint, Caesar would offer up the heart of wood. With Irene and Shozo working together to mess things up, Caesar and Zicheng could not make any progress in snatching the heart of wood. The heart of wood was like a naughty child, flying around in the sky. It wanted to return to the ground, but unfortunately, Caesar and the others had already set up a formation on the ground, so the heart of wood could no longer hide underground. Fengwu followed behind Mojiofri, expressionlessly dodging from time to time those idiots who wanted to catch the heart of wood, but their flying ability was not good enough and almost hit people. There were too many people in the sky, it was simply crowded, and these people all wanted to catch the heart of wood. There were too many people, she couldn't pass. Fengwu blinked and decided to stay put. That little thing was very cute. What if she didn't want to catch it? Stop. Don't run. Quick, block this side. I'm about to catch it. Here, everyone get out of the way. The scene was a mess. The heart of wood was small and agile in flight. It was not easy to catch it. If the 5 elemental stars were so easy to catch, they would have been caught long ago. They would not have waited until now. Everyone set up one trap after another, trying to catch the heart of wood from the sky. Unfortunately, the heart of wood was still flying around in the sky. Although it was blocked by people and could not fly far, its small body was still flying flexibly. Chapter 504. Everyone was busy in the sky for more than an hour, but the heart of wood still stayed in the sky, and no one got it. Caesar signaled the people below to form an array, and he prepared another trap array, intending to trap the heart of wood inside. The heart of wood felt the danger, and directly flew over the crowd into Fengwu's arms. Fengwu suddenly felt something in her arms. Looking down, she saw a small green teardrop-shaped thing, which seemed to be a little shy nestled in her arms. From time to time, it would look at her with shy eyes. Strange, this little guy clearly had no eyes, so why could she feel that she was being carefully looked at? Fengwu never thought too much about things that she couldn't understand. Her small hands hugged the heart of wood, and she was very interested in this round and slightly cold little thing. Hand over the treasure. Fengwu had just hugged the heart of wood when she didn't expect that the people who had participated in the fight from all directions would all surround her after the sudden change of events. Their goal was very similar. They were all here for the heart of wood. Protect Fengwu. Mojiofri shouted, and covered Fengwu with huazhua, blocking most of the people who wanted to rush over and embarrass Fengwu. Zicheng's heart was slightly shocked. He didn't think that the heart of wood would actually fly into Fengwu's arms. No, he couldn't let her run away with the heart of wood. The heart of wood belonged to her. Zicheng quickly ran towards Fengwu. Now that Fengwu had not formed a contract with the heart of wood, she still had a chance. Would Irene let Zicheng succeed? Of course not. Irene had already run over as soon as the heart of wood approached Fengwu. It was not that she wanted to snatch the heart of wood from Fengwu, but she wanted to prevent Irene from running over and playing tricks. She really guessed it right. Irene rolled her eyes and handed a teleportation scroll to Fengwu. She had bought this teleportation scroll at the auction. It could teleport her to a faraway place. Moreover, it could teleport her to a fixed location. Before she entered the desert wasteland, she had set the teleportation location to a small town outside the desert wasteland. As long as Fengwu activated the teleportation scroll, she would immediately be teleported to the town and leave the encirclement of these people. Fengwu looked at the teleportation scroll that was suddenly handed to her and looked at Irene suspiciously. Why did he give her this? Fengwu's eyes seemed to be saying something. Let's go, he said as he stuffed the teleportation scroll into Fengwu's hands. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Fengwu, blocking her path. Afraid that Fengwu would foolishly wait for them in the town, Irene turned around and said, "Leave this place. Don't wait for us. Go back to school immediately." This time, Fengwu understood. After nodding her head, she inserted her Do Chi into the teleportation scroll. Then, a 1-meter-wide teleportation array appeared under Fengwu's feet. This teleportation array only appeared for about a breath of time before Fengwu was teleported away. Where is she? Where did she go? They could not believe that Feng Wu actually ran away like this. The people of Caesar's family had set up a teleportation array. Any teleportation scroll should not be able to be used. How could Feng Wu use a teleportation scroll to leave? Everyone was puzzled, but their feet did not stop moving. They scattered in all directions. They did not know where Feng Wu would be teleported to, so they could only look around and try their luck. Zicheng's heart was filled with resentment. The scene of Irene helping Feng Wu to escape just now happened in front of her eyes. She had tried her best to stop it, but it still did not work. When she arrived, Feng Wu had already left. The desert wilderness was so big, where could she find her? If it was not for the fact that she could not attack Feng Wu in front of Mojiofri and the others, she would have already used magic to force Feng Wu to stay, but she could not. If she did so, she would become a sinner of Notre Dame du Starlight in the future. She was not strong enough now. She still needed the name of Notre Dame du Starlight. Now was not the time to fall out with Notre Dame du Starlight. Except for Mojiofri and the others, everyone else went to chase Feng Wu. Mojiofri gave Irene a look of approval. Well done. If it was not for Irene's teleportation scroll, it could be said that it was impossible for them to protect Feng Wu among so many people. Who could come here was mediocre. In order to complete the task, all of this is what I should do, Irene quickly said modestly. In fact, she was laughing crazily in her heart. Now she wanted to see what Zicheng would do. Without the heart of wood, how could he use the heart of 5 elements to speed up his practice and become another legend after Long's gamer? For Irene's modest performance, Mojiofri nodded with satisfaction. Everyone was happy that half of the task was completed. The other half had to be confirmed that Feng Wu had sent the heart of wood back to the school. Among the several people, only Zicheng's mouth did not match her heart. Her face was full of joy, but her heart was gloomy. She wished she could cut down Irene, who ruined her good thing with a sword. However, the female lead was worthy of being the female lead. Her acting skills were unworthy of the Oscars. Except for Irene, who already knew the true face of the female lead Zicheng, the others did not find that her mouth did not match her heart. They were very pleased with the performance of the 2 second-year students. Knowing that Feng Wu had been sent out of the desert wasteland, there was no need for them to stay. After Zicheng determined Feng Wu's position, the first thing she suggested was to quickly leave the house and meet up with Feng Wu. Irene knew that she had not given up on getting the heart of wood. How could she let her succeed? She suggested to let everyone walk slower and take the others around a few times to avoid being followed by those people. At that time, not only would they not be able to help Feng Wu, they would also bring danger to her. Mojiofri expressed his approval of Irene's suggestion. Then the rest of the people were not in a hurry to hurry. Every day, they took the trackers around. This leisurely performance made the trackers secretly hate. You guys should hurry up and meet up with that woman. Are you going around in circles to tease us for fun? Those trackers were about to burst into tears. Was it easy for them to follow such a big circle? Was it easy? Don't make fun of people like this. No matter how unwilling Zicheng was, there was nothing she could do. Unless she abandoned everyone and walked away by herself. But this was obviously impossible. If she really abandoned these people and ran away by herself, she was afraid that it would immediately arouse the suspicion of the other people in the team. Unless she killed all of these people. Thinking of this, Zicheng felt a little regretful. When she fell into the land of extreme negative energy, she clearly could have left these people in the land of extreme negative energy. But in order to brush up favorability, she still brought them out. Zicheng regretted it very much. If she knew that these people would block her way, she would rather earn less points to keep all of them inside. After Yao Yu came out of the land of extreme negative energy, she did not find trouble with Irene and the others. Although she did not want to admit it, the reason why she could survive was because of Ming Shi and Zicheng. Chapter 505. Ming Shi sacrificed himself at the last moment to save everyone, and Zicheng took out a boundary breaker talisman to bring everyone away. Whether she wanted to accept this favor or not, she had already accepted it. If she continued to look for trouble with Zicheng, it wouldn't make sense. Yao Yu no longer looked for trouble. The small team slowly walked through the desert wasteland. It looked like the whole team was out on a trip. Irene and the rest were at the back, walking in circles at a leisurely pace. Fengwu had already left the town. She listened to Irene and decided to go back to school first. If she wanted to go back to the central city where Notre Dame du Starlight was from, she had to find a teleportation portal. The location of the teleportation portal was not a problem for Fengwu. After getting a ride, she used her fastest speed to rush to the city where the teleportation portal was located. 10 days later, Fengwu returned to the central city and handed over the Heart of Wood. When handing over the Heart of Wood, Fengwu repeatedly confirmed with the vice principal that they would not harm the Heart of Wood. Only then did she hand it over. If the vice principal said that he wanted to harm the Heart of Wood, Fengwu would definitely not hand it over. After so many days of interaction, Fengwu had already become friends with the Heart of Wood. How could she bear to let the vice principal and the rest hurt her new friend? Before the vice principal took the Heart of Wood away, he returned Xiao Yi. Xiao Ye's cute little face was getting rounder and rounder. His limbs were even fatter. Fengwu frowned. So fat. Hearing that, Xiao Yi started to cry. Mommy is bad, Xiao Yi is not fat. Seeing Xiao Yi crying, Fengwu's face was wooden as she coaxed him. Don't cry, don't cry. Xiao Yi did not pay any attention to her and continued to bawl her eyes out. Fengwu expressionlessly handed Xiao Yi over to Xiao Bai and went back to the dormitory. Xiao Yi saw that his little mother actually ran away without shouting at him. He felt even more wronged. His cries could practically tear the roof off the house. In the end, it was Ajur who couldn't stand it anymore. He carried the little bun over and coaxed him. On the third day of Fengwu's return, Mog Philip and the others also returned. Zicheng knew that the Heart of Wood had already been handed over, and it was already impossible for her to obtain it. This made her feel stifled for a long time, and her heart was extremely vexed. Ever since she lost the Heart of Water, she felt that something was wrong. She clearly felt that the Heart of Water should belong to her. Why was it taken away by Xia Zhuo? The Heart of Wood should have belonged to her, but in the end, it fell into the hands of Notre Dame du Starlight. What went wrong? Why did things turn out this way? Zicheng couldn't figure it out. When she returned to school, her days were peaceful again. Every day, she would go to class and take care of the children after class. Her life was very orderly. The only difference was that she couldn't see Ming Shi in school anymore. Ming Shi had returned home. The story of Ming Shi's injury had already spread throughout the school. Donovan had fiercely publicized it for Ming Shi. Skycliffe left with Ming Shi after he left. If he wanted to leave, the school couldn't stop him. If Skycliffe was there, when Fengwu was besieged, there would be an additional fighting force. Unfortunately, Skycliffe's goal was to protect Ming Shi. Everything else was not important to him. That was why he could leave whenever he wanted. No one could stop him. Sure enough, although Skycliffe didn't return to school, he was still given a major demerit. This kind of example of accepting a mission but changing his mind halfway had to be suppressed. They couldn't let the other good students learn bad things from him. Skycliffe didn't come back. Fengwu would contact Ming Shi through the communication crystal every 2 days. Ming Shi's image from home looked normal, but his hand didn't seem to have recovered. Every time she saw him, it was still wrapped in bandages. Fengwu and the others had completed the mission of bringing back the Heart of Wood. Everyone was awarded a large number of points, which could be exchanged for some useful magic items in school. Fengwu wasn't very interested in these. The points hadn't been used, so she saved them for when she needed them in the future. Time passed by unhurriedly. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. During this time, the plot of the original novel was still moving forward without Fengwu noticing. Although Zicheng had lost the Heart of Water and Heart of Wood, she had also obtained the inheritance of 2 ancient magicians. For a time, she was in the limelight. Irene was still behind Zicheng, causing trouble for her from time to time. Ever since she knew that Zicheng would destroy this world, even if Irene didn't want to interfere with the female lead, she couldn't do it. If she didn't care about Zicheng, she was afraid that Zicheng would destroy this world before she could ascend to the god realm. She didn't want to be cannon fodder on Heavenly Wind Continent for no reason. Although she didn't have to become the female lead after transmigrating, she didn't want to be cannon fodder either. Because she didn't want to be cannon fodder, Irene became more and more comfortable in causing trouble for Zicheng. But the more she caused trouble, the higher the chance of being discovered. As a matter of fact, Zicheng had already discovered that Irene was intentionally causing trouble for her. During this time, she had been causing trouble for Irene. The two of them causing trouble for each other had already become a common occurrence. From the internal strife to the external strife, the two of them were like fire and water. As Zicheng and Irene were not on good terms, Zicheng's die-hard fans had also caused trouble for Irene. And it was difficult for Irene to be surrounded by people who didn't like Zicheng. Although Zicheng had the favorable impression system, his ability to attract girls was too strong. This made some girls who had their boyfriends stolen very unhappy. Both sides had fought a few times, with both sides winning and losing. All of this had nothing to do with Fengwu. During this time, Fengwu had been very obedient. Calling Ming Shi once every 2 days had already become a part of her daily life. In the dormitory, Rika occasionally causing trouble for her had also become a part of her daily life. During this time, Irene had come to look for Fengwu a few times. Towards Fengwu, this girl who was willing to live and die with the person she loved for love, Irene had some admiration for her. In the school, when Fengwu was in danger, she didn't care about anything else and stayed behind with Ming Shi to wait for death. Everyone was full of admiration for the way she left the chance to live for others. Many boys expressed their envy, jealousy, and hatred towards Ming Shi. Why hadn't they met such an infatuated girl? This world was too unfair. The girl's view of Fengwu had also become much smaller. No matter what her character was like, whether she had given birth to a child or not, at least her feelings for Ming Shi were real. She was willing to die for him. How many people could compare to her heart that was willing to die for him? Hearing that Fengwu was willing to accompany Ming Shi in such a dangerous time, Diane was very touched. However, she wasn't moved to the point that she would withdraw to fulfill Fengwu's wish. She just came to see Fengwu and made a declaration of fairness. Fengwu just blinked her eyes. She didn't understand. In these 3 months, Feng Yanran also didn't idle. Recently, Feng Yanran also didn't idle. After she killed Mildy and O'Brien, she became famous again. Chapter 506. Fengwu just blinked her eyes. She didn't understand. In the past 3 months, Feng Yanran hadn't been idle. After killing Mildy and O'Brien, she became famous again. This time, she became famous because she stole someone else's fiancé. No one knew if it was because she was particularly interested in other people's fiancés. In short, Feng Yanran became famous again, and it was a bad reputation. Feng Yanran also came to Fengwu, but Fengwu didn't like to be with people, so Feng Yanran came less and less. Fengwu didn't have much interest in Feng Yanran's gossip, but other people in the dorm were interested. For example, Annika and Silda were interested in all the gossip in the school. I've seen that man. He's really good looking. He's ranked 3rd in the top 10 of the 4th grade. Why would such an excellent person like him fall for a woman like Feng Yanran? Silda stuffed a biscuit into his mouth. The more he thought about it, the more he couldn't understand. I think so too. What else is so good about Feng Yanran except for her face? There are so many men who like her. They must be blind. Annika nodded in agreement. As a single dog who didn't have any suitors, it would be strange if he liked Feng Yanran when he saw such a woman with a bad reputation who was attractive to men. Fengwu sat on the side with Little Bun obediently. She stuffed biscuits into her and Little Bun's mouth. The two of them ate happily. That man is called Aubrey. He's a famous person in the 4th grade. He's good looking, and he's also a talented magician. He's proficient in both wind and fire magic. He's one of the most popular men among the top 10 of the 4th grade. It's a pity that he's already engaged to a noble girl. Aubrey's family background is just ordinary. I heard that the girl has been in love with Aubrey since he was young. For him, she even forced her family to get engaged. I didn't expect that she'd still be dumped even after going to this extent. Silda sighed. He felt sorry for the noble girl. That man didn't say that he wanted to marry you. Why did you force yourself on him? You're just looking for trouble. So this is how the marriage is set. Although it is wrong for Aubrey to fall in love with Feng Yanran, his fiancée is not necessarily worthy of sympathy. Who asked her to put herself in such a low position and urged her family to propose an engagement? It is too shameful for a noble. Annika couldn't understand the mindset of the rumored fiancé. How could she throw away her dignity as a noble for a man? That was the content of Annika's conversation with Silda. That day, it was time to talk to Ming Shi again. At night, Feng Wu sat on the balcony, enjoying the breeze and looking at the scenery from the other side. Annika said that the fiancé doesn't deserve any sympathy. She doesn't even care about the dignity of a noble. Feng Wu honestly told Ming Shi the gossip she heard. Ming Shi was speechless as he listened to Feng Wu. He wondered if the girl called Annika would cry if she knew that Feng Wu had told her everything. That's all that happened in the past 2 days. Feng Wu thought for a moment and couldn't think of anything else that she hadn't said, so she continued. The corner of Ming Shi's mouth twitched slightly. He still remembered the first time Feng Wu contacted him. She didn't know what to say at all and just stared at him blankly for a few minutes. In order to give her something to talk about, he asked her to tell him about the interesting things that happened in school every time they talked. He didn't expect this girl to tell him everything that her classmates said. Gradually, as time passed, he got used to Feng Wu trying hard to remember what others said before telling him. Every time Feng Wu told him what others said, that serious look on her face was especially cute. Xiao Wu. Ming Shi looked at Feng Wu in shock. She actually fell asleep on the balcony chair. Although it was summer now, sleeping on the balcony would still cause her to catch a cold. Because he was worried, Ming Shi called Feng Wu a few times. Unfortunately, it was useless. He could only helplessly let her sleep on the balcony chair. That night, Ming Shi watched her all the way until dawn. In the past few months, the situation in Heavenly Wind Continent wasn't good. The blood clans suddenly appeared everywhere. No one knew where they got someone to refine cloaks that could block the sunlight. As long as one was wrapped in a cloak, one could walk freely in the day. Because of the large number of cloaked blood clan members, no one dared to wear cloaks on the streets anymore. They were afraid that they would be mistaken as blood clan members and captured. The Blood Moon Forest was once again in a state of emergency. There was a problem with the barrier again. An unknown person broke the seal of the barrier, allowing the blood clan members to escape to the human world to do evil. The Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom would once again send people to reinforce the barrier. The Notre Dame du Starlight would also send a large number of students to fight against the Blood Clan on the front line. A large number of 6th and 7th grade students were sent to the Blood Moon Forest. Feng Tianqing, who had always been involved in the defense of the Blood Moon Forest, was also sent to the Blood Moon Forest. Feng Tianqing's daughter, Feng Yanran, was also sent along. The 2nd to 5th grade students were free to sign up for this battle. As long as they participated, they would be rewarded with points. If they performed well in the battle, they would be admitted to the Star Hall. This was a rare opportunity for many commoners. It was not easy for commoners to stand out. They could only rely on the merits on the battlefield to slowly accumulate their reputation. Only with reputation could one become famous in the continent. This opportunity was placed in front of everyone. Although the battle against the Blood Clan might be very dangerous, it was also accompanied by a great opportunity. As long as they could obtain this opportunity, they might be able to reach the sky in a single step and enter the Star Hall. In this world, there were many people who were willing to fight. From the 2nd to the 5th grade, at least half of the people signed up. The remaining half either felt that their family background was good enough that they didn't need to risk their lives to earn merits, or they didn't have confidence in their own strength and were afraid that they would lose their lives when the time came. There were also some who weren't interested in the Bloodbreed's invasion this time. In short, at least half of the entire school had left, and these people had all joined the battle against the Bloodbreeds. Feng Wu also joined the battle against the Blood Clan. As for the reason why Feng Wu joined, there was only one reason. It was because she had a call with Ming Shi. She knew that Ming Shi would also appear in the Blood Moon Forest. This time, the person who reinforced the barrier was still Ming Shi. Ming Shi's hand had mostly recovered. He would be able to return to the school soon. Feng Wu wanted to see Ming Shi. She really wanted to see him. That was why she took the initiative to sign up. Originally, Feng Wu did not have any interest in this kind of battle. Chapter 507. This was because she had a conversation with Ming Shi and found out that Ming Shi would also appear in the Blood Moon Forest. This time, the person who strengthened the seal was still Ming Shi. Ming Shi's hand had already recovered by more than half and would be able to return to school soon. Feng Wu wanted to see Ming Shi very much, which was why she took the initiative to sign up. Originally, Feng Wu did not have any interest in this kind of war. It was even more impossible for her to take the initiative to participate in the war. However, where she could see Ming Shi, Feng Wu still went to sign up. Most of Feng Wu's friends had signed up to participate in this war. Even her roommates had also participated. Rika had always been a strong person. Since everyone in the dormitory was participating, how could she not participate? On this day, everyone who had signed up for the war set off towards the Blood Moon Forest. The Blood Moon Forest was the border between the human race and the Blood Clan. At the border between the two races, a powerful seal was set up. Later on, there was a problem with the seal. Large numbers of Blood Clan members flooded into the human race's territory and fed on human blood, bringing endless danger to the human world. Ming Shi had once participated in the repair of the seal. That time, the repair was very successful. However, there was still a problem later on. Once again, the seal was destroyed. This caused the human world's main fighting force to guess that there was a traitor amongst the humans. It was this traitor who helped the Blood Clan to fix the seal from the outside. This was why so many Blood Clan members had flooded into the human world. This time, the seal was badly damaged. Large numbers of Blood Clan members had already started to harm the humans. All the aristocratic families and major powers of the Heavenly Wind continent had gathered their elite disciples to participate in the war against the Blood Clan. In the distant Blood Moon Forest, it had already turned into a battlefield. Both sides had suffered casualties. When Feng Wu and the rest arrived at the Blood Moon Forest, they could only feel that the forest was filled with blood. They did not know how much blood the soil had absorbed. There were a lot of people who came to the Blood Moon Forest battlefield. The elites of various aristocratic families had gathered here. On the matter of resisting the vampires, all the aristocratic families on the continent had a common understanding. No matter how many conflicts there were between the aristocratic families, when it was time to fight against the vampires, they would unite and not let the vampires take advantage of them. When Feng Wu and the rest arrived, they could only stay in the outskirts of the Blood Moon Forest. Originally, those who were stationed here had a room to rest together. However, there were too many people who came, and that room could not accommodate so many people. In the end, those who came could only make do with their own tents. Feng Wu and the others didn't arrive early, so they naturally became part of the people who set up the tents. Only a few people of high status could live in that house. The others had to find their own way to rest. Feng Wu had just finished setting up the tent when she heard someone calling her. He turned around and saw that it was Yi Lin, whom he had not seen for a long time. "Feng Wu, come over here for a moment. My mother said that she has something to tell you." Yi Lin was also in a dilemma as to whether or not she should pass on the message. Her relationship with Feng Wu was not good. Ever since they parted on bad terms at Feng Wu's place, she had not seen her again. Although she had not seen Feng Wu again, news about Feng Wu would often spread. Hearing those news, she felt that she should be doing well. Feng Wu remembered that the mother she was talking about was her elder aunt, Feng Tianjiao. Feng Wu and Feng Tianjiao did not have much interaction. She could not say that she disliked or liked that aunt. Feng Wu thought for a moment, then followed Yi Lin to Feng Tianjiao's tent. Feng Tianjiao should not have come, but she was afraid that something might happen. She felt that the vampire's movement this time was inextricably linked to Feng Tianqing, so she came. Even if her arrival was not welcomed, so what? Her goal was only Feng Tianqing. She did not care what others thought of her. Elder Aunt. Feng Wu entered Feng Tianjiao's tent. Seeing Feng Tianjiao dressed in battle armor, she blinked for a moment before calling out expressionlessly. "N." Feng Tianjiao nodded and responded. "You're still young. You shouldn't have come to this kind of place." Feng Tianjiao suddenly said, "Forget it. Since you're here, just stay here. When the fight starts, don't just charge forward. There are so many people here, how can we let a little girl like you charge forward? Just remember to hide in the back and earn merit points. Also, be careful of your little aunt. She's not as harmless as you think. If she comes to call you, remember to ignore her. If she wants to take you to some desolate place, don't agree." Although Feng Tianjiao did not like her biased brother, nor did she like her father who was biased towards Feng Tianqing, she still took care of her brother Feng Tianqing's son and daughter. She felt that Feng Tianqing would definitely make a big move this time, but she had no idea what this big move was. She could only wait for her to give herself away. While waiting, she was afraid that her silly niece would be fooled. That was why she had her daughter Yi Lin bring her over and give her a few words of advice. Feng Wu blinked. Little aunt. Was she talking about Feng Tianqing? Xiao Wu will remember, elder aunt. Feng Wu looked at Feng Tianjiao seriously. Just like that. Wasn't she supposed to say that her little aunt was a good person and would definitely not harm her? Why was this scene so strange? This wasn't right. Feng Tianjiao coughed a little uncomfortably. She was not used to Feng Wu being so easy to talk to. She thought that Feng Wu would not believe her. The reason why she said it was to do her best. As for whether Feng Wu believed her or not, she did not care. After saying a few more words to Feng Wu, Feng Tianjiao had Yi Lin bring her back. Before Feng Wu left, she told her to look for her if she needed anything. Feng Wu obediently agreed. This conversation could be considered pleasant. There were no problems in the middle. After returning to her tent, Feng Wu and the others found a place to eat some dry rations. Then, according to the orders from above, they picked up a map to familiarize themselves with the environment. The whole day unknowingly passed by. They could not even go find Ming Shi. At this time, in an ordinary house on the outskirts of Blood Moon Forest, a few people with extraordinary strength and high status were having a war meeting. This time, there were teachers from Notre Dame du Starlight, as well as Star Hall's Saint Envoys and elders from other large clans. In addition, there were some higher-ups from the Union. There were more than 10 people in the meeting room. Sitting at the head of the table was the Notre Dame du Starlight's vice principal. This time, the vice principal was the representative of the Notre Dame du Starlight. Naturally, he had to participate in this meeting. The Star Hall had sent out the new 4 Saint Envoys. However, although the 4 Saint Envoys had high status, their seniority was still low. Therefore, this meeting was hosted by the Notre Dame du Starlight's vice principal. Ming Shi sat beside the vice principal without saying a word. Behind Ming Shi stood Skycliff. As Ming Shi's personal bodyguard, Skycliff was naturally here as well. Chapter 508. The Notre Dame du Starlight had sent the new 4 saints. However, although the 4 saints were of high status, their seniority was still too low. Therefore, the meeting was still chaired by the vice principal of the Notre Dame du Starlight. Ming Shi sat beside the vice principal without saying a word. Behind Ming Shi stood Skycliff. As Ming Shi's personal bodyguard, Skycliff was naturally present as well. The Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom had the strongest boundary and seal powers among the 4 great emperors. Therefore, the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom had to send an important person to reseal the Blood Moon Forest. As the future successor of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom, Ming Shi was sent to represent the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom to reseal the passage to the human world. In ancient times, many races were affected by the Great War between the God Realm and the Demon Realm. From the human race to the blood race to the Azura race, they all suffered a lot of damage. At that time, the Azura king of the Azura race and the blood emperor of the blood race worked together to create a new world. That world was eventually named the Azura world after the Azura race. At that time, the blood emperor brought the majority of his race and the Azura race into the Azura world to avoid the Great War. There was also a portion of the blood race that couldn't bear to leave the human world and live in peace. Because they couldn't bear to leave, there was still a portion of the blood race that stayed behind. They didn't want to live in a small world. The blood race in the Blood Moon Forest was the group that chose to stay back. After so many years, these blood race had also developed. Their race was no longer the same as in ancient times. The current population of the blood race was several times more than in ancient times. The combat power of the blood race now couldn't be underestimated. If they were allowed to break out of the seal, the human world would be faced with a great war, especially now that they had mastered the method to avoid the sunlight. An elder representing the Adventurers Guild angrily slammed the table. There must be a traitor among our human race. If we don't find this traitor, even if the boundary is resealed, something will happen again. Elder Roy's words are reasonable. We must find this traitor as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will be attacked from both sides. Elder Heir of the Magicians Guild also spoke. Who is this traitor? Does anyone have any clue? An elder of the Jia clan was also concerned about this issue. Everyone knew that compared to killing vampires, the most important thing now was to find the traitor hiding among them. This traitor was very familiar with the matters of Blood Moon Forest. Moreover, he also knew where the weak point of the barrier was. Such a dangerous person must be found. Otherwise, no one would be at peace, and this battle would cause the human race to fall into chaos. Teacher Feng Tianqing, you've guarded the Blood Moon Forest for so many years. Do you have any suspects? The vice principal asked. Feng Tianqing looked at the elders with some difficulty. I do have a suspect, but I hope it's not him. Are you talking about your senior brother, Florence? The vice dean asked. Only a small number of people knew about Florence's problem at that time. Florence had disappeared without a trace, and so had the 4 guardian elders. Feng Tianqing and Florence's master, Samos, had also mysteriously disappeared in the Blood Moon Forest. The people guarding the Blood Moon Forest had all disappeared. In their opinion, those people had most likely met with misfortune. The only one who escaped was Feng Tianqing. As the main suspect in the disappearance of the guardian elders at that time, Florence had been recorded in the Star Hall and the Notre Dame du Starlights case. Florence's experience had also been investigated clearly. His relationship with a vampire woman was also true. In short, Florence was indeed a major suspect. I don't think it's possible that it's Florence. He left when the boundary was destroyed last time. The boundary that was destroyed this time was fixed by me. It's impossible for him to know where the weak point of the boundary is. At this time, Ming-Shi suggested something else. Florence was indeed a major suspect, but it did not mean that others were not suspicious. In his opinion, everyone who had participated in the guarding of the Blood Moon Forest was a suspect. They all had the opportunity to come into contact with the Blood Tribe, and no one knew when they would be successfully brainwashed by the Blood Tribe. His Highness Ming-Shi is right. We can't just focus on one person. Moreover, I don't think Florence has the ability to destroy the boundary this time, another elder said. This elder was already very old and was a half-step warlock sage. At his age, it was already impossible for him to make another breakthrough. This was why he had volunteered to lead a team to the Blood Moon Forest, wanting to fight for his juniors. Immediately after, a few other elders voiced their support for Ming-Shi's opinion. At the end of the meeting, a few elders who had guarded the Blood Moon Forest in the past were targeted. Although no one said anything, Feng Tianqing knew that she had also become a suspect. After all, although Florence was suspicious, he had gone missing. Feng Tianqing, on the other hand, was the only high-ranking person who survived in the Blood Moon Forest. She was also a suspicious person. However, everyone had only investigated her in private. No one had ever doubted her in front of her. Although no one said it out loud this time, the result was already tacitly understood. It seemed that she would not know about any more important meetings. Feng Tianqing was not worried at all. If they wanted to investigate, then investigate as much as they wanted. She did not believe that they would be able to find anything. If they could really find out, she would not have been allowed to roam freely in the Notre Dame du Starlight for so long. Don't think that she did not know that the people from the Star Hall had arranged for her to be a teacher in the Heartlight Sacred Court so that they could keep an eye on her. She wanted to see what they could find this time since they could not find anything after so long. Of course, Feng Wu and the others did not know about the contents of this meeting. The next day, Feng Wu brought Bao Bao to find Ming Shi. She had not seen Ming Shi for a long time. She missed him. Ming Shi lived in the outskirts of the Blood Moon Forest. It was the house where Feng Tianqing and the others had lived when they were guarding the Blood Moon Forest. During this time of war, Ming Shi was still able to live in a house. This was enough to show that Ming Shi's identity was precious. Because the people living in this house were all important people, there were many guards outside the door. These guards were wearing the clothes of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. At a glance, one could tell that they were people from the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. Feng Wu did not know the origin of these guards. She only told Ming Shi that she had come to find him. Then, when she went downstairs, the guards asked for her name and let her in. When Feng Wu saw Ming Shi was reading a book. The degree of damage to the seal this time was much greater than the previous times. Apart from the princes of the blood race, the rest of the blood race could already leave the seal. This time, it was not easy to seal them again. Before sealing them, they had to drive some of the blood race back to the seal in the Blood Moon Forest. If they were directly sealed, then these blood race members would be left in the human world, which was a danger to the human world. Chapter 509. When Feng Wu saw Ming Shi was reading a book. This time, the damage to the seal was much greater than the previous times. Other than the princes of the blood race, the rest of the blood race were able to leave the sealed grounds. This time, it was not easy to seal them again. Before sealing them, they had to chase some of the blood race back to the sealed grounds in the Blood Moon Forest. If they were to be sealed directly, these blood race members would be left in the human world, which would be a threat to the human world. Anything that could endanger the heavenly wind continent had to be eliminated. Therefore, Ming Shi was very busy during this period of time. He was busy researching the problem with the seal. This time, there was a problem with the seal, and it was so strange. Previously, when he sealed it, he had used Xiaochun's purification power to purify all the blood qi that seeped out of the Blood Moon Forest. At the same time, the seal was also strengthened. This time, he did not tell anyone about the weak points of the seal. He did not expect that the seal would still be broken. Moreover, it was broken by someone from the outside. This was what Ming Shi could not understand the most. There were not many people in the world who could break the seal that he had set up. Among the known people, there were only a few with such abilities who would not help the blood race. Therefore, the identity of the person who broke the seal was very suspicious. Recently, in order to design a perfect seal, Ming Shi had been reading all kinds of ancient books and had made some progress. When Feng Wu came in, she saw Ming Shi reading the ancient books about the seal. Senior Ming Shi. Feng Wu slowly walked in front of Ming Shi. Every step she took was firm. Her clear eyes revealed a strong sense of attachment. Come over here. Ming Shi beckoned to Feng Wu. Feng Wu obediently walked over. She stood in front of Ming Shi and squatted in front of him. She held up his injured hand. That hand still did not have any warmth, but it was no longer stiff and could move slightly. Does it hurt? Feng Wu held his hand carefully, as if she was holding a treasure. It doesn't hurt, don't worry. Ming Shi patted her head with his other hand and smiled. I miss you. Feng Wu looked up at Ming Shi and said seriously. She missed him. She missed him every day. Was this what Ming Shi meant by love? Feng Wu didn't know whether it was true or not. She only knew that Ming Shi was a very important person to her. She wanted Ming Shi to be Xiao Ye's father so that their family could be together forever. This was Feng Wu's idea, simple and direct. Ming Shi's eyes trembled slightly. I miss you too. Yes, he missed her. He missed her very, very much. Every day when he had nothing to do, he would always think of her expressionless face. That face clearly did not have any expression, but he felt that it was extremely cute. Xiao Wu. Ming Shi softly whispered her name. What? Feng Wu blinked her large eyes. Her gaze was misty. Will you be my lover? Ming Shi realized that his hands were sweating. His heartbeat had also doubled. It was so loud that it seemed to be ringing in his ears. Feng Wu looked at Ming Shi seriously. Does that mean we can get married after we become lovers? Her voice was filled with anticipation. Marriage. Wasn't this a little too fast? The moment Feng Wu returned, the Ajur immediately pestered her. He knew that Feng Wu went to look for Ming Shi. Ajur didn't think highly of this pair. Ming Shi was the future emperor of the Silver Moon ancient nation. His wife would be the future Moon Empress. With Xiao Wu's personality, could she be a good Moon Empress? Alright, as long as Ming Shi was willing to pamper her, she could live well even if she did nothing but occupy the position of Moon Empress. Wasn't the current Moon Empress a woman who stood aloof from worldly affairs? After giving birth to the youngest prince, Ming Shi, she lived alone in a courtyard in the Silver Moon ancient nation. She reared birds and flowers every day. The Moon Emperor would accompany the Moon Empress regularly. The couple's relationship was still very deep. Perhaps Xiao Wu could be like the Moon Empress, living her own life behind closed doors and not caring about anything else. Although he had thought of everything for Feng Wu, Ming Shi had to accept Feng Wu first. Not only did Ming Shi have to accept Feng Wu, the rest of the people in the Silver Moon ancient nation had to accept her as well. Xiao Wu wasn't an ordinary girl. She had a rough life. Moreover, she had Xiao Yi, this little burden, by her side. Would the royal family of the Silver Moon ancient nation accept her as the future Moon Empress? The possibility of this was quite low. Every time the Ajur thought of the cruel reality, he couldn't bear to see Feng Wu and the others. He really didn't want to see Feng Wu jump into this whirlpool, but he didn't know how to stop it. In fact, if it wasn't for Ming Shi's status being too high, the two of them wouldn't be unsuitable. Feng Wu didn't know about relationships and was too pure. Ming Shi was smart and had a big heart. If the two of them were together, Ming Shi would definitely be able to take good care of Feng Wu. It was a pity that Ming Shi's status was too high, and Feng Wu already had a child. If Feng Wu wanted to be with Ming Shi, it would be very difficult. The more he thought about it, the more his head hurt. It was too early to think about this now. It wouldn't be too late to think about it when the two of them were together. Ajur had just chatted with Feng Wu for a while when he realized that what he thought was impossible had actually happened. This matter gave Ajur a big fright. The two of them were actually together. Did it have to be so scary? Why didn't there be any signs before this? This was the rhythm of scaring people to death. Ajur could see that Feng Wu was in a good mood. It seemed that she could have a happy ending with Ming Shi. This made her very happy. At this time, Ajur couldn't tell her the concerns in his heart. Forget it. Let Feng Wu be happy for a while. If he said it now, he was afraid that it would only add to Xiao Wu's troubles. After chatting with Feng Wu for a while, Ajur ran back to his tent to digest the fact that Ming Shi and Feng Wu were finally together. After returning to his tent, Ajur sighed for a while. This made his roommates feel very strange. What happened to him? Xiao Wu is finally together with Senior Ming Shi. Ajur sighed and said to his friend who came forward to ask, "Isn't that a good thing? Feng Wu has always liked Senior Ming Shi. Now that her wish has been fulfilled, Feng Wu will be happy to death." What's there to be happy about? The two of them aren't suitable. I'm afraid that Feng Wu will be hurt in the future. Ajur said. What's there to worry about? Senior Ming Shi is a person who knows his limits. Since he has decided to be together with Sister Feng Wu, he won't make her sad. In the school, Ming Shi was also one of the few seniors who had always been clean when it came to matters between men and women. He was loved by thousands of female juniors. Things aren't that simple. You all don't understand. After saying that, he didn't care about what the people behind him thought and sighed and walked away. Leaving behind some dumbfounded roommates, how would we understand if you didn't say it? Chapter 5:10. Right now, everyone was busy preparing for the upcoming battle. As for Ming Shi and Feng Wu, apart from a few people who were familiar with them, no one really paid attention to them. The Feng clan also sent people over for this battle. The ones who came were Feng Tianqing and Feng Juntian. This pair of father and son represented the Feng clan to come to the Blood Moon Forest. Feng Ting also wanted to perform well in this battle, hoping that the Feng clan would see her in a different light. After Feng Ting came to the Blood Moon Forest, she had always been with Feng Yanran. For some reason, the two of them were getting closer and closer. Feng Tianqing and the rest arrived a day earlier than Feng Wu. However, after arriving, everyone was busy and did not have time to meet. On this day, Feng Tianqing finally took the time to call his daughter over for a meeting. Feng Tianqing was a serious person. Although he loved his daughter dearly, he still found it hard to show a loving expression. Feng Juntian also took after his father. He had always been a serious brother, which was why he was not close to the original body. Brother! When Feng Wu saw that her brother had come to find her, she happily rushed into Feng Juntian's embrace. She even rubbed her head against him like a spoiled child. Feng Juntian stroked his sister's soft hair and brought Feng Wu to the tent that the father and son were staying in together. Originally, Feng Tianqing could have stayed in that house, but he didn't want to, so he set up a tent outside with his son. When Feng Wu arrived, the kitchen maid had just placed the dishes on the table. During this period of time, Feng Tianqing was very busy. He was so busy that he did not have time to take care of his children. It was rare for him to have some free time, so he naturally wanted to have a meal with his children. Feng Wu obediently called her father and sat beside Feng Tianqing with Feng Juntian. The family started a silent lunch. This meal was very quiet. No one spoke at all. Feng Tianqing wanted to talk to his daughter, but unfortunately, Feng Wu girl did not cooperate. From the moment she sat down, she had been fighting with the food in her bowl. Other than eating, she did not even bother to look at her father. This made Feng Tianqing feel a little heartbroken. Could it be that his daughter no longer loved him? Feng Juntian, on the other hand, didn't think too much about it. From time to time, he would pick up some food for his sister. The two siblings didn't like to talk, so a glance was enough for them to communicate. Xiao Wu, Xiao Yi is slowly growing up. It's time for you to consider your future. Your grandfather has selected some good moral characters from the nobles of the ancient Eastern Kingdom for you. You can meet them when you go back next time. We'll settle down after you've selected a suitable one. Originally, in Heavenly Wind Continent, everyone was used to marrying late and having children late. However, Feng Wu's situation was different. She already had a son at such a young age. If she did not marry off before her son grew up, it would be even harder for Xiao Yi to marry when he grew up. After all, the younger a child was, the easier it was to raise them. When they grew up and understood things, it was inevitable that they would have some thoughts in their hearts if they knew that they were not their biological children. Therefore, in Feng Tianqing's opinion, he wanted to marry Feng Wu off before Xiao Yi grew up and knew who he was. Unfortunately, Feng Tianqing didn't know that his little grandson already knew how to recognize people. He even knew how to speak. Feng Wu didn't quite understand what this meant. Her large eyes were filled with question marks. What did he mean by suitable people? What did she want those people for? She didn't understand. Father wants to find a suitable marriage partner for you. When you find Xiao Yi, you can also have a father. You don't have to worry that the person you choose will treat Xiao Yi badly. Our entire Feng family will be your backing in the future, so you don't have to worry. With us around, no matter which man you choose, he won't dare to treat you badly. Feng Juntian saw that Feng Wu didn't understand, so he straightforwardly announced Feng Tianqing's plan. Feng Wu ate the last mouthful of food and looked at Feng Tianqing with her large eyes as she said seriously, "There's no need. Xiao Yi has a father. I've already found someone to marry." You have a boyfriend? Which family's brat has such good taste to take a fancy to my daughter? Actually, Feng Tianqing was a little worried that the man might have bad intentions. Bu Wu was currently taking care of a child. If there was a phoenix man who wanted to use Xiao Wu to reach the heavens in a single step, it wouldn't be impossible. Although he thought so in his heart, he didn't show it on his face. It's Senior Ming Shi. Senior and I are now lovers. I will marry Ming Shi in the future, Feng Wu said very seriously. However, Feng Juntian and Feng Tianqing felt as if they were struck by lightning. Who did they just hear? Wasn't Ming Shi the name of the future Moon Emperor of the Silver Moon ancient nation? Could it be that they had the same name? That must be it. Although they admitted that their daughter, sister, was very cute, as the successor of an empire, how could he be dating a woman who already had a child? How could they believe this? Hee, Xiao Wu, you really know how to pick people. This person has the same name as Prince Ming Shi of the Silver Moon ancient nation. Hee. Feng Tianqing laughed dryly a few times to cover up his discomfort. Feng Tianqing and Feng Juntian looked at each other. They both felt their little hearts trembling. Senior Ming Shi seems to be the prince of the Silver Moon ancient nation. Feng Wu said. It can't be, it's actually the same person. No, absolutely not. I don't agree with you two being together. Xiao Wu, that kind of person from the royal family isn't a good person. He loves to play with ignorant girls like you the most. So you should immediately cut off all ties with him and don't have anything to do with him anymore. Feng Tianqing almost shouted. He didn't want his precious daughter to be played with by a member of the royal family. At the end of the day, Feng Tianqing didn't believe that Ming Shi would sincerely date his daughter. He was afraid that Feng Wu's feelings would be played by someone else. When the time came, Ming Shi would just clap his hands and leave. How would his daughter live on her own? When that time came, Feng Wu would be pointed at by many people. What if Xiao Wu couldn't take it and carry the child to death? Feng Tianqing's imagination was becoming more and more ridiculous. Ming Shi still didn't know that he had mysteriously become a scumbag. Father is right. Prince Ming Shi's status is too high. If you were to be with him, you would face a lot of pressure. His parents and clansmen might not accept you and Xiao Yi. Feng Juntian said with a serious expression. Who knew that Feng Wu would say, why do I have to make Ming Shi's parents accept me? What does this have to do with his parents? Feng Wu blinked her eyes in confusion. This girl never knew about these things. Bai Lianfeng also didn't tell her about this problem. Before he came to this world, Bai Lianfeng thought that as long as he was alive, no one would be able to bully his disciple. As for whether or not they would approve of his son being with his disciple, he was never worried. As long as Feng Wu took a fancy to him, he would just snatch him back to Mount Yuhua and make him her husband. He didn't believe that anyone would dislike his disciple. Chapter 5:11. Unfortunately, Bai Lianfeng would never have imagined that she and her little disciple would transmigrate to this alternate world. Bai Lianfeng never told Feng Wu that if two people wanted to be together, they needed their parents to make an engagement. Therefore, Feng Wu seriously lacked common knowledge in this aspect. In her mind, as long as Ming Shi accepted to be Xiao Ye's father and agreed to marry her, then the two of them could be together. All of this was between her and Ming Shi. It had nothing to do with anyone else. However, Feng Juntian and his son's thoughts were not so simple. Ming Shi was a prince, and he would be the future Moon Emperor. His marriage would be simple. Although the four emperors had the freedom to choose their spouses, they would not choose a woman who had already given birth to a child. Not to mention that no one would choose that, even if they did, they would not be accepted by the royal family. After knowing that the person with Feng Wu was Ming Shi, the Feng father and son were worried to death. Feng Wu thought that this was only between her and Ming Shi, but they knew that things were not that simple. Would the Moon Emperor and Moon Empress accept that their future daughter-in-law had a child before marriage? If they were adamant against Feng Wu marrying Prince Ming Shi, then what would happen to his daughter? Sigh, there was no end to his worries. Feng Tianqing felt that he would definitely age a few years because of this matter. Since he could not get through to Feng Wu, the Feng father and son angrily ran to find Ming Shi after eating with Feng Wu. Ming Shi was studying the ceiling catalogue in his study. He did not expect to see Feng Tianqing and Feng Juntian walk in. Their expressions were very ugly. It was obvious that they did not come with good intentions. Even if she knew their identities, he could guess what they were here for. "Uncle Feng, Brother Juntian, please take a seat." Ming Shi put down the book in his hand and stood up from the chair. "We won't be sitting. The two of us just want to ask Prince Ming Shi a question." Although Feng Tianqing had some thoughts about Ming Shi, he did not want to offend him verbally. No matter how angry he was, he knew that this young man was the future Moon Emperor. He was not someone the Feng family could afford to offend. "Uncle Feng, please go ahead." Ming Shi smiled good-naturedly. That smile was faint, but it was as beautiful and gentle as the moonlight. Unfortunately, neither Feng Juntian nor Feng Tianqing were in the mood to admire her beauty. "I heard that your highness is quite close to my daughter, Xiao Wu?" Feng Tianqing asked tactfully. "Indeed, I am dating Xiao Wu." Ming Shi did not beat around the bush with him and directly admitted his relationship with Feng Wu. "Since your highness is so direct, we won't beat around the bush." Feng Juntian spoke. "My younger sister, Feng Wu, is just an ordinary girl. I'm afraid she is not compatible with your highness' status. Please keep your distance from my younger sister." Ming Shi frowned slightly. "But what did Ming Shi do wrong?" "Your highness is overthinking. My younger sister is lacking in many areas and is not worthy of your highness," Feng Juntian said. "That's right. I believe that with your highness' status, it should not be difficult for you to find someone better than my daughter. My Xiao Wu is not suitable for the imperial family. Please let my daughter go, your highness." Feng Tianqing stepped forward and said. "No matter how good the other girls in this world are, they are not Xiao Wu. Ming Shi only wants to be with Xiao Wu." Ming Shi looked at the Feng father and son seriously and made his promise. "Then what about your family? Will they accept Xiao Wu? Do you know that Xiao Wu has a child? As the future Moon Emperor, can you accept raising someone else's child?" Feng Juntian said. "Xiao Yi is very cute. Royal father and royal mother will like him." Ming Shi smiled when he thought of that little dumpling. "No matter how cute Xiao Yi is, he is not your and Xiao Wu's child. Will Moon Emperor and Moon Empress really not mind?" Feng Tianqing did not believe it. If Feng Juntian brought back a woman who had given birth to a child and said that he wanted to marry her and raise her son, Feng Tianqing would definitely be furious. It would be strange if he did not kill the mother and son. Putting himself in their shoes, how could the great Moon Emperor do something that even he could not do? "Stop joking. They won't mind," Ming Shi said with certainty. "I'll listen to your nonsense." Feng Tianqing scolded angrily when he heard this obviously irresponsible nonsense. "Father." Feng Juntian pulled his father's arm. This person was the future Moon Emperor. He could not scold him. Feng Tianqing also knew that his words had offended this future Moon Emperor, but he did not plan to apologize. He could already seduce his daughter, but he was not allowed to scold him. Ming Shi pretended that he did not hear anything. The other party was the father of the girl he truly liked. He naturally could not get angry with Feng Tianqing. "Uncle Feng, do the two of you know who Xiao Ye's father is?" Ming Shi suddenly asked. "We don't know either. Are you trying to say that Xiao Yi is your son?" Feng Juntian thought of this possibility and widened his eyes in shock. Even Feng Tianqing stared at him without letting go. His eyes were still filled with disbelief. However, Ming Shi shook his head. "No, I am not Xiao Ye's biological father." "Since you are not, why are you asking us this? Do you know Xiao Ye's biological father?" Feng Juntian guessed. Ming Shi shook his head again. "I don't know Xiao Ye's biological father either." "Then what did you mean by that? Was it fun to tease them?" The Feng father and son could not help but glare at him. They felt that he was doing it on purpose. This person was too vile. How could he joke about such an important matter? Everyone said that Prince Ming-Shi was gentle and polite, and knew when to advance and retreat. Now, it seemed that the person who made this evaluation was definitely deceived by his appearance. I just wanted to tell Uncle Feng and Brother Feng that Xiao Yi does not have a father. Ming-Shi's words were like a bolt of lightning that exploded in the Feng father and son's ears. In these 2 years, they had been thinking of ways to find out what happened back then. Who was Xiao Ye's father? Who hurt Feng Wu and made her pregnant? This question had always troubled everyone in the Feng family. However, today, they actually heard Ming-Shi say that Xiao Yi did not have a father. Wasn't this a joke? If Xiao Yi did not have a father, then how did Xiao Yi come to be? Otherwise, there was another possibility. Feng Wu ate the pregnancy fruit, and because of the pregnancy fruit's medicinal power, she was able to have a child. However, was this possible? Xiao Wu had seen the pregnancy fruit before. How could she stupidly eat it? This was completely impossible. The two of you do not need to be shocked. Ming-Shi only knew the truth after hearing it from the dean. Ming-Shi told the Feng father and son about the secret related to Xiao Yi that he heard from the dean. When the Feng father and son walked out of Ming-Shi's temporary study, they were dumbfounded. Who could tell them how the Elf King became his grandson, nephew? This was illogical. During the Great War of Gods and Demons in ancient times, the Elf King had already disappeared from the world in order to strengthen the seal of heaven and earth. Everyone said that the Elf King had returned to nature. Chapter 5:12. When the Feng father and son walked out of Ming-Shi's temporary study, they were dumbfounded. Who could tell them why the Elf King had become his grandson, nephew? It didn't make sense. During the Great War of Gods and Demons in ancient times, the Elf King had disappeared from the world in order to strengthen the seal. Everyone said that the Elf King had returned to nature. Even the tree of life had withered. There were no more elves in this world. Legend had it that the Elf King was an innate god. He was benevolent, kind, and friendly. He was the first god to be born in this world after the god of creation left. Other than the descendants of the god of creation, no other god was as honorable as him. However, such an honorable existence had used up all of his power in the Great War 10,000 years ago. That Great War was not the Great War of Gods and Demons. Instead, it was a power from the outside world that invaded this plane. At that time, the plane's barrier was destroyed, and many creatures from the outside world came to this world. They killed everyone they saw, and countless creatures were killed. In order to protect the world's peace, the gods invaded and only drove away those creatures from the outside world. The world's barrier was still unable to be restored. At that time, the Elf King appeared. He used up all of his divine power to completely restore the world's barrier. From then on, peace was restored to the world. The Elf King disappeared from the world forever. Not only the Elf King, but even the Elf King's tree of birth, the tree of life, withered. The other elves also disappeared with the Elf King. From then on, no one on the continent had seen elves. Even if elves occasionally appeared on the continent, they were only mixed-blooded elves and humans. They were not pure-blooded elves. The pure-blooded elves seemed to only exist in myths and legends. They had long disappeared in the long river of history. But now, Ming-Shi actually told him that the Elf King was still alive and had become his grandson. This was a joke, right? It had to be a joke. Because Xiao Ye's background was too shocking, Feng Juntian and his son said that they needed some peace and quiet. Don't ask them who peace and quiet was. Feng Wu felt that her father and brother had been very strange recently. They liked to come to her and ask her to bring Xiao Yi out for them to see. Xiao Yi was naturally brought along by Feng Wu, but he was usually locked in the interspatial ring. Only when Feng Wu was free would she let him out. Now that Feng Juntian and Feng Tianqing were so interested in Xiao Yi, there were 2 more nannies who could take care of the child for free. If it were other people, they would definitely be suspicious. Why would she suddenly treat my son so well? Could it be that there was some conspiracy? The Fengwu girl did not think that way. She was just happy that someone could help take care of the little bun. Although this little guy didn't like to cry, he was very clingy. Ever since he could speak, he liked to talk to people and ask questions. Fengwu was not a talkative person. Now that she had transformed into a little chatterbox, Fengwu only wanted to avoid her. Fengwu girl thought, "Son, can we be a quiet little bun?" With Feng Juntian and Feng Tianqing appearing from time to time, Fengwu was finally free. Even when she slept at night, there was someone to take care of the child. She didn't have to be disturbed by the little bun's questions from time to time. The Fengwu girl was very satisfied and welcomed the two cheap nannies. After knowing the identity of the little bun, the father and son no longer had to worry about whether Fengwu would be disliked by the royal family of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. They had already started to discuss whether they should prepare a dowry for Fengwu. Fengwu was still unaware of this. Perhaps to her, the identity of the little bun was never important. She only needed to know that the little bun came from her stomach. Fengwu told Ming Shi the strange things about her father and brother as a story. When Ming Shi heard it, he only patted her head and smiled. "Xiao Wu, when you graduate, we'll get married." Ming Shi gently hugged the little thing in his arms and said gently, "Who knew that Fengwu would frown? But it's still many years before I graduate. It'll be so long. By then, I'll be an old lady." There had never been a girl who hadn't married after 20 years of age under Silver Moon Mountain. In a few more years, she would be an old lady. Thinking of this, Fengwu was overjoyed. "Can we do it quickly?" she asked seriously. Ming Shi was helpless. This little girl dared to say anything. Couldn't she act a little bashful? These peaceful days didn't last for long. The vampires officially launched a war against the human race. The humans and vampires were fighting every day. Just like its name, the Blood Moon Forest was filled with the smell of blood every day. The smell of blood grew thicker by the day. The humans suffered many casualties, but the vampires also lost many of their clansmen. In the past 2 days, both sides suffered losses. Fengwu was assigned to the rear and didn't join the battle at the front lines. Many of the second-year students were assigned to support the rear. Their task was to take care of the injured soldiers, cook, and deliver meals. Although it didn't sound like much work, there were so many people here. Every day was a busy day. Fengwu could only put Little Bun in her spatial ring. She put him in there for a few days and didn't let Little Bun out. Fortunately, Little White accompanied him inside and didn't let him go hungry. Like Fengwu, there were a few other girls who were assigned to do logistics work at the rear. Fengwu knew a few of them. There were Feng Ting, Feng Yanran, Lin, Rika, Annika, Zilda, Diane, Irene, Zicheng, Eve, and Zicheng's new friend, Nellie. If Shouzo saw Nellie, he would be shocked. Wasn't Nellie the female warlock saint who hated Zicheng to death during the Age of Chaos? She was the pitiful girl whose mind was controlled by Zicheng and caused the destruction of her family. Before Shouzo came back, he promised Nellie to stop her from getting close to Zicheng. He didn't want her to repeat her tragic fate. Before Shouzo came back, he promised to find her and stop her from getting close to Zicheng. Who would have thought that fate would still send Nellie to Zicheng? Although the time they got to know each other was delayed, they still became friends. From the interaction between the two, it could be seen that Nellie had a good impression of Zicheng as a friend. Irene looked at the interaction between Nellie and Zicheng and thought about how to stop Nellie from falling into Zicheng's hands. This was a problem. Bao Bao sat on Fengwu's head and flapped his wings. Bao Bao wasn't interested in the war between the human race and the blood race. Fengwu helped wash the vegetables seriously. After experiencing Fengwu's cooking skills, no one dared to ask her to cook again. They would rather eat grass on an empty stomach than eat Fengwu's food. People would die. They would be poisoned to death by Fengwu before they could die in the hands of the blood race. Chapter 513. Bao Bao sat on Fengwu's head and flapped his wings from time to time. Bao Bao had no interest in the war between humans and vampires. Feng Wu helped wash the vegetables seriously. After experiencing Feng Wu's cooking skills once, no one dared to ask her to cook again. They would rather eat grass on an empty stomach than eat Feng Wu's food. That would kill them. They would probably be poisoned to death by Feng Wu before they could die in the hands of the vampires. From then on, Feng Wu was assigned to other jobs besides washing vegetables. She could no longer cook. Irene was now a little troubled. What could she do to make Nellie stay away from Zicheng? Sigh, because she and Zicheng were not on good terms. Even if Nellie was on good terms with Zicheng, she would not pay attention to her anymore. This was not easy to handle. Rubbing her chin, Irene thought of a few plans. She wanted to come up with a plan to test the effect. She did not let Xiazhua down. Today, the sky was filled with red light and the moon was as red as blood. The blood-red moon was the characteristic of the blood moon forest. Only in this place could the blood-red moon be seen. The red moon was the symbol of the vampires. Some people said that the red moon represented the source of the vampires' power. As for whether it was true or not, only the vampires themselves knew. Ah! Bite it, quickly bite it. Feng Tianqing stuffed a brocade handkerchief into Feng Yanron's mouth, afraid that she would bite her tongue. Feng Yanron's forehead was full of cold sweat. Every inch of her skin was in pain, even her bones were in pain. The two bloodlines in her body were constantly rejecting each other, roaring and roaring in her body. Neither was willing to merge with the other. This immense pain that made her want to die immediately had been plaguing her for many years. Recently, the phenomenon of the rejection of her bloodline had become more and more serious. This pain had slowly increased from once a year to once a month, and now she would experience it once every few days. About an hour later, Feng Yanran looked like she had been fished out of the water. With a weak face, she put on the clothes that were messed up because of the pain. Feng Tianqing fed her water and a bottle of recovery potion with a pained expression. After drinking the medicine, her complexion looked much better. "Mom, I can't hold on any longer." Feng Yanran leaned pitifully in Feng Tianqing's arms. The pain just now had made her unable to exert any strength. Even after drinking the medicine, she still could not recover. "Don't be afraid, it'll be fine. Mommy will think of a way. You'll be fine, baby." Feng Tianqing's eyes flashed as if she had made up her mind. Ah! On a certain night, a scream pierced through the sky. Nellie took a few steps back in fear and bumped into Irene, who had just run over after hearing the noise. "What's going on? What happened? What happened? Who's shouting? Did something happen? What the hell happened? Does anyone know?" A group of boys ran over from not far away. They had just returned from a battle and were changing shifts with the other warriors to rest. They had no choice but to take shifts. The bloodlings would harass them from day to night. If they did not take shifts, who knew if the bloodlings would take advantage of them? They had just fallen asleep when they were woken up by a scream. The boys did not look too good. If someone was screaming just because they saw a little bug, the boys probably would not let it go so easily. Ah! Nellie was still screaming. She was probably so scared that her entire head was buried between her legs. She was still squatting there and screaming, with no intention of stopping. "Stop screaming. What's going on?" Erin pulled Nellie up and gave her a backhanded slap. Although this action was a little rough, the effect was very obvious. Nellie had already regained her consciousness, and was no longer as muddle-headed as she was before. "There. Feng Ting. Feng Ting is dead." Nellie trembled as she pointed at the bushes a few steps away. The same guy immediately ran over and saw a corpse hiding behind the shrubbery. There wasn't a trace of blood on the corpse, and the entire corpse was dry and flat without any water. It was obvious that this was the work of the bloodbreeds. How could a bloodlings come to our human camp? These bloodlings are too unscrupulous. They can even sneak into our human camp. Can we sleep peacefully in the future? I'm afraid not. What if a bloodling sneak in and suck your blood the moment you fall asleep? The people below discussed animatedly. Soon, the higher-ups stepped in to investigate this matter. They also sent people to investigate the entire camp, afraid that a bloodlings had sneaked into the human camp. In the end, one of the blood breeds ran in and was caught in the forest not far away. The blood breeds didn't say anything about how he ran in and self-destructed without hesitation. The humans did not get anything out of the bloodlings' self-destruction. The only person who knew what had happened was probably the only witness, Nellie. Nellie honestly told them everything she knew. It turned out that tonight, Nellie and Feng Ting had agreed to go to the river to wash clothes together. Halfway through, she accidentally dropped the basin into the water. The wooden basin floated along with the water and was about to float away. Nellie quickly chased after the basin, wanting to save the clothes. When she returned, she found that Feng Ting was not waiting for her at the original place. Nellie was a little angry that Feng Ting was not being kind enough to wait for her, even though she knew that she had gone to chase after the basin. After complaining for a while, she continued to wash the clothes. She sped up when she was washing clothes alone. After washing the clothes, she carried the wooden basin and was about to go back. Unexpectedly, when she passed by the bushes, she saw that Feng Ting was already dead. Nellie did not expect Feng Ting to die here. At that time, she screamed in fright. Everyone knew what happened after that. Nellie didn't know when Feng Ting had died. When she returned with the wooden basin, Feng Ting was already dead. Nellie did not know anything else. Feng Ting's death caused a panic in the camp. Everyone was afraid that a bloodlings would suddenly come out and suck their blood. During this period of time, the camp was even more heavily guarded. Even in the camp, no one dared to be alone, afraid that they would become the target of the bloodlings. The people in the camp were anxious, and the higher-ups were not calm either. Feng Ting was the daughter of a concubine of the Feng family. Although she was not very favored, she was still a child of the Feng family. The death of a member of the Feng family in the camp was considered a big deal. The Feng family was a super family. They had a long history and had a very high status in the ancient Eastern country. It was not a small family. The death of a concubine's daughter was nothing. Chapter 5:14. Everyone in the camp was anxious, and the higher-ups were not calm either. Feng Ting was the daughter of a concubine from the Feng family. Although she was not favored, she was still a child of the Feng family. It was a big deal that someone from the Feng family died in the camp. The Feng family was a super family with a long history. They had a high status in the ancient Eastern country. She was not a daughter of a concubine from a small family. How to explain this to the Feng family was a problem. Feng Tianqing was sad when he found out that Feng Ting was killed. No matter what, he had raised her for so many years. He had developed feelings for her even if she was a kitten or a puppy. How could he not be sad? Feng Juntian sighed. Although he could not be as close to Feng Ting as he was to his sister, Feng Wu, he would not treat her as an outsider. No matter what, Feng Ting's death made Feng Juntian and his son sad for a while. Feng Ting was killed by the blood clan. The reason for the appearance of the blood clan became an unsolved case. After Feng Ting's death, Feng Tianqing went to comfort his brother. Sometimes, he would personally cook and accompany Feng Tianqing and Feng Juntian to eat and drink. A few days later, the battle between the humans and the blood clan became more intense. After the battle ended, another big incident happened in the human camp. The Feng family went missing that night. When Ming Shi received news of Feng Wu's disappearance, he immediately sent out a large number of people to search for her, but to no avail. The other families in the camp also sent out their elite disciples to help search for the Feng family, but there was still no news at all. What happened that could make experts like Feng Tianqing and Feng Tianqing be taken away without a word? And Feng Wu, Feng Juntian, and Feng Yanran, these people with the surname Feng, were all missing. Their disappearance was just like the four great elders who had disappeared the earliest. Their disappearance was extremely bizarre. When Feng Wu woke up, she found herself hiding on the ground. Feng Tianqing and Feng Juntian were lying beside her. They were unconscious, and she did not know if they were injured or something. Feng Wu quickly reported what happened today. After today's battle, Feng Tianqing came to Feng Tianqing's tent to cook and asked Feng Yanran to call Feng Wu over to eat. Bao Bao went to Ming Shi's place to help study the sealing enchantment, so Feng Wu followed Feng Yan to her father's tent alone. In the tent, everyone ate the food cooked by Feng Yanran and the soup she brought. After that, she didn't know anything. After Feng Wu recalled what had happened, Feng Tianqing and his son finally woke up. Where is this place? Why are we here? As Feng Tianqing had just woken up, he was still a little groggy, and his voice was a little hoarse. Father, are you all right? Feng Juntian had also just woken up, but his reaction was better than Feng Tianqing's. He didn't eat much for dinner, so his head wasn't as bad as Feng Tianqing's. Although Feng Wu ate the most, because of her special physique, there were treasures like pure flames and pure swords in her body, so she naturally woke up the fastest. Moreover, she didn't have any adverse reactions, so she just took it as a nap. I'm fine, Juntian. Why are we here? Where's your little aunt and Yanran? Feng Tianqing saw that his children were by his side, so he was worried about the safety of his sister and niece. I also just woke up. I didn't see little aunt and Yanran. Feng Juntian shook his head. The father and son stood up with each other, but they found that they couldn't use any strength. The two immediately understood that they had been drugged. Xiao Wu, are you all right? Feng Juntian helped his father up and asked his sister, who was standing at the side in a daze with concern. I'm fine. Feng Wu shook her head to show that she was fine. After the Feng family's three father and son, daughter, confirmed that there were no other injuries, they began to care about where they were. They walked around in a circle. This room was not very big, but it actually had a window. When they walked to the window to take a look, they found that it was actually a tall tower. The trees under the tower became small. No wonder the windows weren't even sealed. It turned out that even if there were windows, they couldn't escape. Now that they had lost their strength, it was impossible for them to escape before the drug wore off. The huge blood-red moon outside the window proved that they hadn't left the Blood Moon Forest. They didn't remember there being such a tall tower in the Blood Moon Forest. Where exactly were they? Could it be? The father and son had the same guess in their hearts at the same time. It couldn't be, right? The father and son exchanged a look of disbelief. If it was really as they thought, then how did they come to this place from the outskirts of the Blood Moon Forest? Just as the father and son were puzzled, Feng Wu had already walked to the door and pulled it open. With a creak, the door actually opened just like that. Feng Tianqing and his son widened their eyes in surprise. The door wasn't even locked. If this was really the place they guessed it to be, there was indeed no need to lock it up. They believed that once any human came here, they wouldn't be able to escape from this place alive. The three of them left the room where they were locked up and found a direction to walk forward slowly. They didn't see anyone else along the way. There was no need to lock the door, so there were no guards? How confident must they be to do that? The three of them started from the room where they were locked up and looked around this floor. They found that there was no one else on this floor other than the three of them. Thus, the three of them went to the next floor. They had just walked down the stairs when they heard a series of curses. Feng Tianqing, you traitor of the human race, kill me if you can. As long as I, Renza, am alive, I'll definitely expose your crimes to the public. After a series of curses, the person began a new round of curses. Although the curses didn't sound very energetic, the hatred in them was simply too obvious. He mentioned two names just now that attracted the attention of the father and son. One was Feng Tianqing, and the other was Renza. Renza. This person was actually Renza. Didn't Renza elope with a female vampire long ago? Why was he here and had such a deep hatred for Feng Tianqing? These questions appeared in the minds of Feng Tianqing and his son. They had actually thought of an answer, but they couldn't believe it was true. Feng Tianqing brought his son and daughter with him and walked into the room where Florence was being held captive. Renza's hands were chained up in the room. He looked like he was in so much pain that he had lost his shape. He was completely skin and bones. There were countless scars on his body. Many of these scars were caused by sharp weapons, and there were also many bite marks. These bite marks were unique to vampires. They were only 2 small dots, and one wouldn't be able to see them if one didn't look carefully. Chapter 5:15. Feng Tianqing brought his son and daughter and walked into the room where Luan Sa was locked up. Luan Sa's hands were chained up in the room. He looked like he was in so much pain that he had lost his shape. He was just skin and bones. There were countless wounds on his body. Many of these wounds were caused by sharp weapons, and there were also many bite marks. These bite marks were unique to the bloodbreeds. They were only 2 small dots, and one would not be able to see them if one did not look closely. The person who called himself Luan Sa had been locked up in this place for who knows how long. His hair was so tangled that it was longer than his waist. He did not know how long it had been since he last cleaned it. The beard on his face had already reached his chest. His clothes reeked of feces and urine because he had not changed for a long time. "You're humans." Luan Sa's voice was filled with excitement. How many years had it been since a human finally came to this place? Luan Sa's eyes were red from excitement. "You're Luan Sa?" Feng Tianqing asked with uncertainty. He had never seen Luan Sa before, but he had heard that Feng Tianqing's senior brother was called this name. "You know me?" Luan Sa was a little surprised, but not too surprised. He was quite famous when he was guarding the barrier in Blood Moon Forest. It was not a big deal for people to know him. The outside world is saying that the successor fell in love with a Bloodbreeds woman and helped the Bloodbreeds break the barrier seal. He is a sinner of the human race. Feng Juntian said. "I am a sinner of the human race." Luan Sa suddenly laughed out loud. There was too much suppression and pain in his laughter. "The one who said that I am a sinner of the human race is Feng Tianqing, right? That despicable bitch. What I regret the most in my life is that I did not discover her true colors earlier and did not kill that woman in time." Luan Sa roared in pain. "You're talking about Feng Tianqing. She is the Feng clan's first daughter. Why do you hate her so much?" Feng Tianqing did not reveal his identity and only probed. The Feng clan's first daughter. She was indeed the first daughter of the Feng family, but she was also a slut. This woman had an affair with the prince of the blood kindred and gave birth to a bastard. She used her identity as the realm protector to help the blood kindred find the weak point of the barrier. She helped the vampires come out of the barrier and slaughtered the common people outside the Blood Moon Forest. The 4 elders, Master, and I were killed because we discovered the true identity of her vile spawn. She drugged the food of the 4 elders, Master, and I and sent us to the Blood Moon Forest. She pretended to spare our lives, but turned us into food for the vampires. Every day, the vampires would come to suck our blood. In the end, Master and the 4 elders couldn't hold on any longer and passed away. "If I hadn't met you guys, this matter would have been buried underground forever," Florence said with a wry smile. Although the wry smile on his face was blocked by his beard, it did not prevent Feng Tianqing and the others from guessing his expression from Florence's tone of voice. Feng Tianqing's heart was already in turmoil. He simply could not believe his ears. His younger sister, who had been delicate and cute since she was young, was actually together with a prince of the blood kindred and had even given birth to his child. What was even more terrifying was that she even helped the blood kindred break the barrier seal. How could this be his sister, Tianqing? "No. It's not like that. You must be talking nonsense. Tianqing has been a cute and kind girl since she was young. It's impossible for her to betray the human race. It's impossible." Even if he had some guesses in the beginning, Feng Tianqing still could not believe that the sister he had doted on for so many years was actually such a person. This matter was too big of a blow to Feng Tianqing. If it were not for Feng Wu and Feng Juntian supporting him, Feng Tianqing would have fallen to the ground and could not stand up. "You're from the Feng family." Florence had already guessed Feng Tianqing's identity from his reaction. Florence really did not expect that after so many years of no one coming to this place, the only people he saw were Feng Tianqing's relatives. "Yes, I'm Feng Tianqing's brother, Feng Tianqing. Tell me if what you said is true." It's impossible for my sister to betray the human race. You must have wronged her. Feng Tianqing, who had always been calm, almost could not take this blow. If even he had suffered such a deep blow, the blow to Feng Wuliu would only be even greater. Thinking of how sad his father would be when he found out about this, Feng Tianqing's heart ached. I've wronged her. After living in the Blood Moon Forest for so many years, I've only seen your sister wrongly accuse others. When has anyone ever wronged her? Florence smiled coldly. These people were Feng Tianqing's family. He could not guess what they wanted to do here. However, he knew that the probability of Feng Tianqing spreading the news about Feng Tianqing back to the human race was not high. With such a traitor in the Feng family, their reputation would probably plummet in the future. This matter was too damaging to the Feng family's reputation. He did not believe that Feng Tianqing would spread this matter. After all, Feng Tianqing was the head of the family. After the emotional roller coaster, he quickly adjusted his emotions. The sadness on his face was also wiped away. Little girl, how did you get here? Florence did not want to pay attention to Feng Tianqing anymore. He turned his attention to the only girl, Feng Wu. Feng Wu glanced at him, thought for a moment, and said, I don't know. We had a meal with Aunt Tianqing, then we woke up here. How did they get here? The Feng Wu girl expressed that she really did not know. Florence's eyes trembled when he heard this. Not good, you must leave here quickly. Feng Tianqing wants to take your blood to save his vile spawn. Speak clearly, what is going on? Feng Tianqing asked with a frown. Heh, you really don't know anything. Feng Tianqing's daughter is called Feng Yanran. Because she is a hybrid of human and vampire, she is destined to not live for long. If he wants his daughter to live, he must purify the other half of her human bloodline into the Feng family bloodline. What do you mean? Feng Tianqing asked. It is the purification of the bloodline. The Feng family bloodline in Feng Yanran's body is not strong or pure. This is also the reason why she did not live long. The bloodline of the blood clan will instinctively suppress the bloodline that is weaker than itself. I believe you know that ancient families like yours don't have ordinary bloodlines. Some people can inherit 30% of the bloodline, some can inherit 50%, and some can inherit 80%. The purity of your bloodline represents your future talent. Feng Yanran's bloodline purity is too low. If she wants to become 100% pure, she can only succeed by consuming the bloodline of her own family. The strongest person in your Feng family should be Grandpa Feng. I think Grandpa Feng should be the target that Feng Tianqing wants his daughter to devour the most. Grandpa Feng's body not only has pure demon power, but also a powerful bloodline. Once Feng Yanran devours these two things, then Feng Yanran's power will immediately reach the prince level, and she will most likely become the new Blood Emperor. Chapter 5:16. The strongest person in your Feng family should be Grandpa Feng. I think Grandpa Feng should be the target that Feng Tianqing wants his daughter to devour the most. Grandpa Feng's body not only has pure magic power, but also a powerful bloodline. Once these two are devoured by Feng Yanran, then Feng Yanran's strength will immediately reach the prince rank and she will most likely become the new Blood Emperor. So it's like this. Feng Tianqing thought of Feng Ting's strange death. Could it be that Feng Ting was... He brought you all here. Could it be that Feng Yanran finally couldn't hold on any longer? Feng Tianqing had no choice but to act in advance and let Feng Yanran devour you all first before going to find Grandpa Feng Wu. Luo Sa was indeed Feng Tianqing's senior brother. He really understood that woman. Feng Tianqing still didn't know that the Feng family had already met with Luo Sa and talked so much. At the moment, she was helping Feng Yanran to take care of her injured lover, Aubrey. Aubrey was seriously injured in the battle with the vampires. It was Feng Yanran who brought him into the territory of the vampires to save his lover. Yanran, go rest for a while. Mother will help you look after him. Feng Tianqing lovingly patted her daughter's head and said gently, No, I want to take care of him myself. Just let me stay here and take care of him. Feng Yanran said with red eyes. All right. Fortunately, Feng Wu and the others have already been brought into the castle by Mother. As long as you devour their blood, your bloodline will become closer and closer to a pure blood. When that time comes, think of a way to devour Feng Qianjiao and your grandfather. Your bloodline will be completely developed and you will become the new king of the blood clan. Feng Qianqing described the beautiful scene of Feng Yanran being crowned king in the future. The mother and daughter looked at each other and smiled. Feng Yanran, who was originally frowning, felt a lot better. But mother, uncle, cousins, and the others. Do I really have to devour them? They are my family. I'm afraid I can't do it. Feng Yanran said unhappily. Be good, don't be afraid, my child. Your uncle loves you the most. If he knows that his blood can save you, he will definitely be happy to help you. In Feng Tianqing's heart, since Feng Wuliu and Feng Tianqing loved Yanran so much, they shouldn't mind sacrificing a little for Yanran. If they truly loved her and Yanran, they should agree to help Yanran complete the bloodline purification without hesitation. If she didn't agree, it meant that their love for her and her daughter was fake. Then, she didn't need to care about the father-daughter relationship or brother-sister relationship anymore. They were not even willing to make a little sacrifice for her daughter. How could she believe that their feelings for her were real? Feng Tianqing thought as a matter of course. In Feng Tianqing's mind, if he loved her and cared about her, he should do everything for her. If he knew that she loved her daughter, he should let her daughter devour her unconditionally. That was how he loved her. If he didn't want to do it, it meant that he didn't love her. In the past, he was just a hypocrite. There was no reason to treat such a person as family. She could just let Yanran devour him. Anyway, whether the father and son of the Feng family agreed or not, there was only one result. He would be devoured by Feng Yanran. If the father and son of the Feng family knew about her strange thoughts, they would probably vomit 3 liters of blood. At this time, a soft moan suddenly came from the bed. When Aubrey opened his eyes, he saw Feng Yanran looking at him worriedly. Holding her little hand, Aubrey wanted to say that he was fine, but it caused a series of coughs. Come, don't talk. Drink some water to moisten your throat. She hurriedly poured a cup of water for Aubrey. Feng Yanran carefully put the cup next to Aubrey's mouth and fed him. After drinking the water, Aubrey felt much better. His throat didn't feel so uncomfortable. Yanran, where is this place? Why are we here? Only then did Aubrey realize that they were not in the human camp, but in a luxurious room. Such a room would never appear in a human camp. He had heard that even the prince of the Silver Moon ancient kingdom lived in an ordinary room. This is where my father lives. Feng Yanran lowered her little head, not letting him see the uneasiness in her eyes. She didn't know if Aubrey would still like her or leave her if he found out about her identity as the princess of the blood kindred. Your father, didn't your father pass away? Everyone in the school knew about Feng Yanran's background. Her father was a hero who fought against the blood kindred. Later, he passed away in a fight with the blood kindred. Since then, Feng Yanran could only rely on her mother. This matter was known by all the teachers and students in the school. It was not a secret. I'm sorry, I actually lied to you. My father is not dead. He has always been alive. It's just that his identity might not be accepted by everyone. That's why Mother lied that my father had died. In fact, my father has always been living well. Feng Yanran whispered. Let me say it. Feng Tianqing knew that his daughter was too old to have the courage to tell the truth, so he planned to say it on behalf of his beloved daughter. If this man could not accept his daughter's identity, it meant that this man was not worthy of love. There was no need to keep a person who was not worthy of love. He would be handed over to the child's father to deal with. Aubrey didn't know what he was about to face. If he showed any dissatisfaction, Feng Tianqing would definitely not let him live. Teacher Tianqing, you're here too. Aubrey saw that Feng Tianqing was also in the room and said with some surprise. Of course teacher is here. If teacher wasn't here, do you think a little girl like Yanran could save you? Feng Tianqing said jokingly. Thank you, teacher Tianqing, for saving me. Aubrey thanked Feng Tianqing very politely. Feng Tianqing nodded, more and more satisfied with Aubrey. Teacher, what did you want to tell me? It's about Yanron's father. Feng Tianqing said. After she finished speaking, she suddenly turned to look at the door. The smile on her face became more and more brilliant. My dear, you're here. Feng Tianqing's voice had a hint of feminine charm. Her eyes were so soft that it could drip water. I'm here. Is this the young man that Yanran likes? A handsome man in black appeared at the door. His appearance was exquisite and beautiful, and his temperament was even more noble. At a glance, one could tell that he had a good background and had received a very strict education. This was why he could make his every move seem as if it had been measured with a ruler. It's him. Isn't he a very cute little boy? Our Yanron's taste has always been good. Feng Tianqing said proudly. The black-clothed man, Prince Nicholas, walked to Feng Tianqing's side and gently held her waist with a gentle smile. Chapter 5:17. The man in black, who was Prince Nicholas, walked to Feng Tianqing's side and gently hugged her waist with a gentle smile. Nicholas sized up the young man and nodded with satisfaction. This young man is quite talented. He's a good match for our Yanran. Nicholas was one of the blood race princes and led tens of thousands of blood race members. His strength could be ranked in the top 3 among the blood race princes and was equivalent to a peak warlock saint. Aubrey felt a little strange. Yanron's father was too good-looking, and he had a strange evil aura about him. Although he thought so, he did not show it on his face at all. Nicholas was even more satisfied with Aubrey and secretly nodded in his heart. Aubrey was about to ask something else, but unexpectedly, there was a commotion outside the door. What happened? Feng Tianqing asked. Nicholas smiled evilly. Nothing much. It's just that you caught a few small fish and wanted to sneak away. Feng Tianqing immediately understood what had happened. Her expression did not change as she looked at Nicholas and laughed heartily. If it wasn't for the fact that this castle was an absolutely safe place, she wouldn't have let them in without locking the door. Her brother and her 2 nephews and nieces thought too simply of this place and actually wanted to escape. Bring them in. Nicholas instructed the door, and immediately, 2 beautiful blood race members brought Feng Wu's family of 3 in. When Aubrey saw the Feng family members who were brought in, he was instantly dumbfounded. Wasn't this the Feng family head and young master Feng Juntian? He had seen the other girl from afar once. Yanran said that she was her cousin. But what was going on now? Why were Yanron's cousin and the Feng family head and father brought in like this? Tianqing, you really colluded with the blood race. I didn't want to believe it at first, but now I have no choice but to believe it. Feng Tianqing looked at Feng Tianqing in disappointment. He could still deceive himself when he did not see anyone. He had a glimmer of hope, but after seeing Feng Tianqing, even his last glimmer of hope disappeared. Brother, Nicholas and I are truly in love. I only helped my husband. There's no need to talk about collusion. Feng Tianqing leaned into Nicholas' arms and smiled happily. Are you crazy? The blood clan lives on blood, and we humans are food to them. He will suck your blood dry. Feng Tianqing couldn't help but roar. Nicholas would never harm me. We have been together for so many years. If he wanted to suck my blood, he would have done so long ago. There is no need for him to wait until now. He loves me so much. He would never bear to do anything to hurt me. Feng Tianqing looked at Nicholas affectionately. You're right. I would never hurt the woman I love, Nicholas said affectionately. The husband and wife looked at each other affectionately. If it wasn't for the wrong background, it would have been a beautiful scene. Feng Yanran looked at her parents, moved. She had envied her mother for being loved by her father since she was a child. She had always hoped to find a man who loved her so much. Now she finally fell in love with a man. She hoped that Aubrey would love her as much as her father loved her mother. Aubrey didn't know what Feng Yanran was thinking at the moment. He was already stunned by the information revealed by Feng Tianqing. Yenron's father was actually a blood clan member. No wonder he felt that Yenron's father was strange. He was actually a blood clan member. Feng Tianqing, you are simply crazy. Feng Tianqing knew that it was useless for him to say anything more. He could only look at the sister he was once proud of in disappointment. He felt that his cute sister would never come back. What do you want to do by capturing our family? Feng Tianqing didn't try to persuade him anymore. He just wanted to confirm one last time whether the sister he had doted on since she was a child really didn't care about their sibling relationship and wanted their whole family to die. Brother, Yenran has always been tormented by illness because of the conflict between our bloodlines. Now, only the purest bloodline of the Feng clan can save her. Brother, don't you love Yenran the most? You don't want to see her die, right? As long as you offer your bloodline to Yenran, Yenran can live. You will save Yenran, right? Brother, you love her so much and you love me so much. You will definitely save her, right? Feng Yenran said to Feng Tianqing with a face full of expectation. You only want me to offer my bloodline. Then why did you capture Juntian and Xiao Wu? Feng Tianqing said coldly. When Feng Tianqing said those words, his heart had already turned cold. Of course they have to offer their bloodline. Juntian, Yenran is your cousin. As her brother, you should sacrifice for her, right? Xiao Wu, Yenran is your cousin. You can't bear to see her die, right? You are the younger sister. You will definitely protect your elder sister, right? Feng Juntian and Feng Tianqing didn't know how to communicate with Feng Tianqing. No matter what, the logic was on her side. Her Yenran was her life. It was natural for others to sacrifice for her daughter. Only a selfish person could say such words. She is not my elder sister. Feng Wu had never thought of Feng Yenran as her elder sister. She only had a brother and no elder sister. Xiao Wu, you are not a good child when you don't care about your family. Feng Tianqing's eyes flashed with a cold light. Family? Is there any family between us? Feng Wu looked back at her father in confusion. How come she didn't know that she was related to Feng Tianqing and her mother? Feng Wu couldn't figure it out no matter how she thought about it. Feng Tianqing laughed. You are right, but there is no such thing. This family relationship had been personally cut off by Feng Tianqing. No matter how much he loved Feng Tianqing, he wouldn't let her hurt his own children for Feng Tianqing. Feng Tianqing's expression changed and her eyes turned cold. You are not even willing to help with such a small matter. It seems like there is no more family between us. Feng Juntian was a little speechless. Asking them to give up their lives was just a small matter, then what was a big matter? Aubrey, you have seen it all, right? Tianqing's father is the blood kindred's prince. Tianqing is the daughter of Nicholas and I. She has the bloodline of both the blood kindred and the human race, but because of the defect in her bloodline, she will not live for long. The only way to save her is to absorb the bloodline of other people in the Feng family and improve Yenron's bloodline. This way, she will be able to live for a long time. I hope you will not dislike my daughter just because she has the bloodline of the blood kindred. She is a brave and kind girl and has never liked to drink human blood. She is so kind that she does not want to hurt anyone. Now that she has finally fallen in love with someone, I hope my daughter can be as happy as I am. Aubrey, can you treat my daughter well? Feng Tianqing walked to Feng Yenron's side and held her daughter's hand, looking at Aubrey expectantly. Aubrey looked at the beautiful girl in front of him. He had always known how kind and cute Yenran was. So what if she was a descendant of the blood kindred? He had never seen Yenran drink other people's blood. She was such a kind girl. How could he not want her just because she was a blood kindred? Chapter 5:18. Feng Tianqing walked to Feng Yenron's side and held his daughter's hand, looking at Aubrey expectantly. Aubrey looked at the beautiful girl in front of him. He always knew how kind and cute Yenran was. So what if she was a descendant of the bloodkin? He had never seen Yenran suck other people's blood. She was such a kind girl. How could he abandon her just because she was a bloodkin? Teacher Qianxing, don't worry. My love for Yanran won't change no matter what happens. Even if she has the blood of the blood kindred, I won't stop loving her. Aubrey looked at Feng Qianxing solemnly. Feng Qianxing nodded with satisfaction, secretly praising his daughter's taste. Feng Yanran looked shyly and emotionally at the man she loved deeply. She rejoiced for herself. She did not make the wrong choice. Aubrey was the one who was worthy of her devotion. This happy scene was indeed very touching. A human youth was inseparable from his beloved. It did not matter if his lover was a human or a bloodkin. As long as the person he loved deeply, it did not matter. This was a great love. If it were a few other people who acted out this scene, Feng Qianxing and the others might be moved. However, the people who acted out this scene were Feng Yanran's family. Feng Qianxing and his son did not have any good feelings other than the disgusting feeling of swallowing a fly, let alone being moved. Feng Wu watched it as if it were a musical, and she enjoyed it very much. These lines were also in the book her mother showed her last time. Were they acting according to the book? Feng Wu and Feng Qianxing stood on the side and watched the show without saying a word. At the same time, some people sneaked into the bloodkin without them noticing. This group of people included Feng Tianjiao, Ming Shi, Skycliffe, and Ajur. The four of them had the same goal. They all wanted to go in and find Feng Qianxing and his son, as well as Feng Yanran and her daughter. When the rest of the Feng family disappeared, Feng Tianjiao had already guessed that Feng Qianxing could not help but make his move. It was time for her to make her move. Feng Qianxing, do you know how long I have been waiting for this day? Since the day my mother left, I have been waiting for the moment to kill you with my own hands. That moment is not far away. With Bao Bao's help, Ming Shi and the others successfully entered the Bloodbreed's territory. Their human scent was successfully concealed. As long as they were careful, they would not be discovered by the Bloodbreeds. Xiao Wu, you must wait for me. I will come to save you soon. Wait for me. Ming Shi. Feng Wu looked out of the window in confusion. She seemed to have heard Ming Shi's voice just now. The drama of Feng Yanran's family was finally collected. Feng Yanran was now hugging Aubrey with a happy face. Feng Qianxing then turned his attention back to his family. Big brother, actually, I don't want to hurt you. How about this? Hand Feng Yi over to me and I'll let you go. Feng Qianxing had heard from Feng Yanran that Feng Yi alone was equivalent to the sum of everyone in the Feng family. As long as she devoured Feng Ye's bloodline, Yanran would directly become the Blood Emperor. There was no need to go through so much trouble and think of a way to make a move on her father and Feng Tianjiao. It was easier to make a move on her father because her father trusted her. No matter what she did, her father would not suspect her. At that time, all she needed to do was to incapacitate him and everything would be solved. The troublesome one was Feng Tianjiao. Feng Tianjiao did not trust her. It was very difficult to obtain the bloodline power from Feng Tianjiao. If she was lucky, after Yanran devoured her father's bloodline, she might be able to succeed. If she was unlucky, she would have to make a move on Feng Tianjiao. Xiao Yi. Feng Tianxing's eyes widened in surprise. You actually dare to have ideas about Xiao Yi? They were too bold. Feng Tianxing wanted to ask them, you guys are so arrogant, why don't you go to heaven? You even want to devour the Elf King. Is there anything you don't dare to do? Feng Juntian was also dumbfounded. No matter how he thought about it, he could not understand why Feng Tianxing was in such a hurry to court death. Who was Xiao Yi? That was the Elf King. The Elf King was the first divine spirit in this world other than the god of creation. He was an existence protected by the world's consciousness. If they dared to devour the Elf King's bloodline power, the world's consciousness would jump out and devour them. Feng Wu's reaction was the most normal. She shook her head. I won't give it to you. Xiao Yi is my son. The Feng Wu girl did not want Xiao Yi to be taken away by this bad woman. Feng Wu could tell that Feng Tianxing wanted Feng Yanran to devour the three of them. Now, he wanted to devour Xiao Yi. Feng Yanran's appetite was too big. If she ate so much, she would get a stomachache. Feng Wu thought seriously in her heart. What exactly did you understand? Xiao Yi is still young. There's only one of him. Even if you let Feng Yanran devour him, she won't be full. Very good. This girl understood the word devour to mean eating someone directly. Feng Tianqing thought that Feng Wu was deliberately causing trouble for him. It's fine if you don't want to hand Xiao Yi over. I know you have a life spatial ring on your hand. This spatial ring can store any life form. You've been raising Xiao Yi in it, right? It's fine if you don't give it to him. When you die, this spatial ring will have no owner. At that time, anyone can open it. Feng Tianqing's meaning was very clear. No matter what they chose, he had a way to get Xiao Yi. Feng Tianqing, you really don't have any humanity. Feng Tianqing thought of Feng Tianjiao. Feng Tianjiao always said that her mother's last wish was for her to kill Feng Tianqing and stop him from destroying the entire Feng family. In the past, he and his father had never believed Feng Tianjiao's words. They always thought that it was because the heavenly demon was jealous that his sister was favored, so he wanted to kill her ruthlessly and made up such an absurd reason. Bang! Nicholas waved his hand and Feng Tianqing was instantly sent flying to the wall. When he fell from the wall, he immediately spat out a large mouthful of blood. He had suffered heavy injuries. Father! Feng Juntian yelled worriedly and hurriedly ran over to support Feng Tianqing. Feng Wu followed closely behind. She was very worried about her father's injuries. Feng Juntian wanted to take out a bottle of medicine from his spatial ring for his father to consume. When he wanted to use his battle energy to open the ring, he remembered that they had already been drugged by Feng Tianqing. They couldn't use their battle energy at all. They had no medicine to heal their injuries, and no fighting energy to protect themselves. Their situation was already so bad. At this moment, Feng Wu took out a bottle of medicine and fed it to Feng Tianqing. Feng Juntian was shocked. Where did this medicine come from? They clearly couldn't use their battle energy. After Feng Tianqing drank the medicine, his originally pale face finally regained some color. His injuries had recovered quite a bit. Chapter 519. At this moment, Feng Wu took out a bottle of medicine and fed it to Feng Tianqing. Feng Juntian was shocked. Where did this medicine come from? They were clearly unable to use battle energy. After Feng Tianqing drank the potion, his pale face finally regained some color. His injuries had recovered quite a bit. Feng Juntian did not see how Feng Wu took out the medicine, but Feng Tianqing and the others saw it. When they saw that Feng Wu could still use her spatial ring, they were all shocked. The medicine that Feng Tianqing used was not an ordinary medicine. This was a medicine that the Blood Clan used to deal with humans. As long as a human consumed this medicine, all of their powers would be sealed. Once consumed, they would be unable to use their powers for 7 days. In the human world, there were still some forbidden areas that forbade magic and martial arts. Once one stepped into these forbidden areas, they would lose their powers and could only struggle in the forbidden area like an ordinary person. There were 2 or 3 such forbidden areas, but there were not many medicines that could seal one's powers and battle energy. Almost all of them were no longer seen in public. In the Great War in ancient times, many precious magic medicines were destroyed. The Blood Clan's collection of this demon-sealing medicine was also very precious. Under normal circumstances, the Blood Clan would not use it. In addition, this medicine did not take effect through the air. It had to be consumed. This was a little troublesome. A person who could be poisoned by a Blood Clan member would at least be a warlock saint. However, how could a warlock saint's diet be so easy to get close to? Hence, this medicine was actually a little useless. However, with the addition of Feng Tianqing's family over the past few years, this medicine had found a place to be useful. Feng Tianqing had not only used this medicine to kill the 4 elders, but also his own master. Other than a senior brother who was still struggling at death's door, everyone else had been killed. Now that he had tricked Feng Tianqing's family again, this kind of medicine, which was useless among the vampires, had found a chance to shine. This medicine was very effective, and it was impossible for it to be neutralized before the time was up. How was Feng Wu able to use her battle energy to open her spatial ring? Feng Tianqing could not understand. She had experimented with this medicine many times. There should not be any problems with it. You can actually use your battle energy. Nicholas was also shocked. No one knew better than him how effective this medicine was. This was the first time he had seen someone who could neutralize the effects of this medicine. Why not? Feng Wu blinked, also puzzled. She could always use her Do Qi. With Xiaoqun and Pure Flame, which were both purifying treasures, any poison should be ineffective against her. However, Feng Tianqing had used a strong knockout drug at the beginning, and because Xiaoqun was in the midst of advancing, he did not immediately remove the drug's effects. Pure Flame was also a reckless person. Seeing that Feng Wu's life was not in danger, it did not care either. It wasn't until Feng Wu was fed the magic sealing potion while she was unconscious that Pure Flame helped Feng Wu get rid of the potion's effects. Therefore, the magic sealing potion in Feng Wu's body had long lost its effect. It was just that Feng Tianqing and the others were too confident in the potion's efficacy and did not test it out. Interesting. I didn't think that there would be such an unexpected person among the humans. If it wasn't for the fact that my daughter needs your bloodline power to become the Blood Emperor, I could have kept you to study and see what's different about your physique. Nicholas attributed the reason why Feng Wu was not affected by the potion's effects to Feng Wu's special physique, which was why the magic sealing potion had no effect on her. Xiao Wu, Auntie didn't know you had such abilities. Hiding it from Auntie really surprised her. Feng Tianqing walked to Nicholas's side and said with a smile. However, that smile did not reach his eyes. Feng Wu turned her head and ignored Feng Tianqing. In Feng Wu's eyes, Feng Tianqing had already become a villain in a novel. He was a bad person. She did not want to care about them. Feng Tianqing did not care about what she thought. He just looked at Feng Wu. Xiao Wu, have you thought it through? If you hand Xiao Yi over, Auntie will definitely let your family of 3 leave. Otherwise, don't even think about taking a step out of this Blood Moon forest. Feng Tianqing said coldly and threateningly. Although she knew that Feng Wu could use Do Qi, she did not take it to heart. She was just a mere second-year brat. Even if she could use Do Qi, it was impossible for her to cause any harm to them. As long as that potion was to make it easier to take away Feng Tianqing and Feng Juntian, Feng Wu's strength was never in Feng Tianqing's eyes. Just like that concubine's daughter, Feng Ting. To Feng Tianqing, other than being her daughter's medicine, there was nothing special about her. When she made a move against Feng Ting that day, Feng Ting's weak strength did not pose any threat to the mother and daughter. Since she did not take Feng Ting seriously back then, she would also not take Feng Wu seriously today. They were just 2 little brats. What was there to be afraid of? No. Feng Wu bit her lips and said firmly, "Bad girl, you still want to eat Xiao Yi." Feng Wu clenched her small fists. If she dares to make a move, I'll hit her. Looks like Xiao Wu wants Aunt to do it herself. Feng Tianqing's smile did not reach her eyes, and her fingertips emitted a cold light. I'm not afraid of you, Feng Wu said seriously with a stern face. Xiao Wu. Feng Tianqing and his son were extremely worried. However, they could not use Do Qi, so they could only be anxious at the side. This was the territory of the Bloodbreeds. Even if they all recovered their strength, they were not confident that they could leave this place safely. After all, there were tens of thousands of Bloodbreeds living here. They were afraid that before they could find a way out, they would be devoured by the Bloodbreeds they met along the way. Although Xiao Wu had Do Qi on her, the possibility of her escaping was still not high. However, they could not care so much now. The father and son exchanged glances. No matter what, they had to let Feng Wu leave this place first. At most, they would fight with their lives to buy some time for Feng Wu. Whether she could escape or not would depend on her luck. You are indeed a girl of my Feng family. However, you are a little unruly. Let Aunt, as your elder, teach you the rules. As he spoke, he walked towards Fengwu step by step. Nicholas watched from the side with a smile, and there was a trace of affection in his eyes. Feng Yanran and Aubrey stood together in fear, and they did not intend to stop him. Teacher Qianqing had already said that Yanran needed their dou qi to survive. For Yanran, he had no other choice. Turning his face away, Aubrey convinced himself to pretend that he did not see it. In the beginning, his family did not even ask him and helped him to marry a noble lady that he did not like at all. He had already lost his heart to that family. It was not easy to meet a girl that he truly loved. This time, he would not let go no matter what. Feng Yanran was a little nervous. She felt a little sorry for her uncle's family who had always treated her well. However, if she wanted to live, she needed the pure dou qi of the Feng family to balance the dou qi in her body. Father said that the dou qi in her body was very pure and very rare. As long as she had the same pure dou qi of the human race, when the two kinds of dou qi reached a balance, she would be able to have the powerful strength of the dou qi and the unlimited potential of the human race at the same time. In order to survive, although she was sorry for her uncle, she could only do this. Sorry uncle, when Yanran has children in the future, I will definitely let one of them inherit the dou qi of the Feng family. I will never let the dou qi of the Feng family be cut off. So go in peace. Fengwu, brother Jun Tian, and uncle, Yanran is sorry for you. But I want to live more. Feng Yanran secretly said sorry in her heart, but on the surface, she stared at Fengwu with fiery eyes. She knew that Feng Yi, that little thing, had been following Fengwu. From the first time she saw Feng Yi, she suspected that Feng Ye's physique was not simple. She had never seen a child with such pure power. She felt that as long as she absorbed that child, she would be able to obtain great power. That power would only be stronger than absorbing the blood of everyone in the Feng family. Feng Qianqing, I didn't expect Feng Yanran to be the bastard child of you and a dou qi. Mother was right, you are the bane of the Feng family. Feng Tianjiao held a long sword and walked into the room step by step. Following behind Feng Tianjiao were the three boys, Ming Shi, Skycliff, and Ajur. Ming Shi and Ajur were immediately relieved after seeing that Fengwu was fine. Ajur walked to the wall and helped Feng Tianqing up. Seeing that Feng Tianqing was injured, he found a better medicine for him to take. Xiao Wu. Ming Shi rushed to Fengwu's side and worriedly checked Fengwu's injuries. Feng Tianjiao, you are really bold. You even brought the next monarch of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. I really have to thank you for this gift. When he was in the human camp, I couldn't do anything to him. Once he left the camp and entered the territory of the dou qi, even if he is the descendant of the four monarchs of the human race, he would still be able to escape. The descendants of the four monarchs all had the divine blood. Absorbing the blood of the four monarchs would definitely be beneficial for Feng Yanran. As for the consequences of the death of one of the future monarchs, Feng Tianqing didn't care about it. I never thought of escaping. Feng Tianqing, you colluded with the dou qi to murder your own kind. This crime is unforgivable. We have the right to kill you on the spot. Ming Shi's eyes flashed with killing intent. He rarely wanted to kill someone like this. Feng Tianqing was definitely one of the rare few. Kill me. You actually think you can kill me in the territory of the dou qi? I say, Your Highness, have you been praised too much that your brain has gone stupid? There are tens of thousands of dou qi here. I only need to give the order for them to rush in. Each of them can drown you with a mouthful of saliva. How can you kill me? Feng Tianqing laughed loudly. There was a hint of playfulness in his smile. Even Nicholas looked at Ming Shi with contempt. He felt that he was a prince who didn't understand the situation. Saying such big words when the enemy was strong and he was weak was simply brainless. It seemed that this immature moon monarch wasn't that great after all. You can try and see if I can kill you. Ming Shi didn't say anything else and only replied with this sentence. Feng Tianjiao took a step forward and said, Your Highness, you can't steal my words. Feng Tianqing's life is mine. From the day my mother died, I swore to kill Feng Tianqing. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.